I wanted to continue this sort of tone that we established in Man of Steel, but I really wanted to kind of sort of recapture some of the cinematic quality that I've always loved over my... We weren't really sure whether it was going to be a straight sequel or whether we wanted to kind of branch out and go in another direction or how we were going to... And we just felt like it was an original and interesting concept to pit him against another hero, but a darker hero. What the fuck, say? And it just seemed like once you say Batman out loud, it's hard to beat it. It just is.
We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Movie Mania podcast. I am Bandit from Bandit Incorporated and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Would you like a glass of Granny's peach tea? Yes, it is Trilby / Mr. TARDIS. Hello, Trilby.
Hello, Bandit. How are you doing?
I am good. I've been resurrected like General Zod to come back to attack this movie.
and hello, the more Batman, it tries to fight you, the stronger you get.
You will.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a very fun and interesting one, isn't it? You can just tell.
It will be. For everyone who's tuning...
Martha!
What a coincidence. That's my mom's name too. I guess you're a good guy now. For everyone who's cheering that Trey isn't here, he's a little bit late, but he'll be calling in, so he'll be here by the time we get to talk about the movie. But yes, how's your week been, Trilby?
The last time I was told that somebody would be joining in the podcast later, he never woke up again.
Oh.
And I'm just going to remind you of your failures.
Yeah, sorry about that. Probably staying up to like 3 a.m. when I have to get up at 6 a.m. to record with you guys is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, but it's much later for you now. You've actually had a lie-in. You've had some time in bed now to have some sleep because I've just come back from a movie screening because I've been doing the Philmonic Cabaret in Manchester for the weekend. Made a short film. It just got screened like an hour ago. Went down incredibly well. I'll probably put it up on YouTube like within the next couple of weeks so you can all enjoy that. But it was a lot of fun and I'm incredibly tired. And because of that, I've only really had time to watch one movie. But what a movie I've watched this week. So what have you been doing, Bandit?
Nothing really special apart from, grieving the DCU. But before we move on, can you give us like a brief summary about what the short film's about? Obviously, don't tell us the whole thing, but...
Okay, well, my dad used to be part of the police service, and he's got a lot of stories, funny stories from his time serving. And I got an interview of one of the stories from 1985 on Christmas Day, and it's the story about him and his partner had to arrange everything for this man who was a serial panty thief. And it's basically he narrates this story and we reenact it.
Wow.
And I'm playing the younger version of my dad, and the screening went really well. People were, because it was the first time people had seen it, obviously, but you're surprised what people laugh at, what they don't laugh at, what they respond to. Because it's a police story, myself and the guy who plays my partner did like our own version of the Bad Boys theme, but people were just applauding at the end of the film over the credits, so they never actually heard it, which is a decent compliment.
Wow.
But yeah, and also
I can't wait to see it now. That sounds really great.
It turned out really well, I think. We had a very patient director of photography, so that was really good. But this past week as well, moved into the new flat. We arrived there on Monday, about to get the keys, and this flat that we're told is furnished for the past 2 months, we get in there and it's barren. It's empty. So... This has been a fun week. And then on Wednesday morning, internet's meant to arrive. It says 4 days for setup and delivery and everything. And then the day arrives. Oh, did we say 4? We meant 18. So I'm not actually going to be connected in the flat until the 6th. I've come back to my previous flat share to record this podcast because I'm that dedicated to the cause.
Wow, thanks, mate. Look, I can really relate to your whole issue with trying to get internet, because I'm trying to move house, but I'm trying to get the internet connected in the new house before I move. And, man, it is so difficult.
The one thing I recommend if you're doing a move, ask again and again and again, is it furnished or is it unfurnished? This week, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we jump into news, I've just for all our listeners out there, and especially for you, Trilby, we're having a new picture for the podcast made up that you'll see, which is going to include
I was actually going to ask.
Trilby. Milan has come back and he has graciously agreed to design us a new thumbnail. So I sent him a picture of what you look like, so it'll be interesting to see what your cartoon counterpart looks like.
I'm just expecting like Jabba the Hutt wearing like a fedora or something, and that'll just be me going, "God, he got the hat wrong. It's a trilby."
Yeah, I just sent him the picture I could find of just you with the hat holding up a box set of Doctor Who.
Oh God, I look so grumpy in that one. Gosh.
Well, I said to Milan, I was like, I could send you like $50 or whatever for your time, and he's like, no, just mention that I have this Lex Luthor Man of Steel motion comic up on my channel, which he does. His channel is the Russian Comic Book Geek, and Lex Luthor Man of Steel, that's a comic book story arc where basically Lex Luthor finds a way to give himself all of Superman's powers for a certain amount of time, and it's a brilliant story. It's brilliant. It completely changes the way Lex Luthor... Well, I won't spoil it, but you can check it out on Milan's channel, the Russian Comic Book Geek. It's like the full story, so I think it's about 40 minutes. So it's basically a little movie, and it's fantastic. Definitely go check it out. I'll plug it again at the end of the podcast. But until then,
subscribed. Right now, I just did it live on the podcast. You heard it here first, folks.
So let's jump into the news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Okay, so movie news. Our first news story is about Kingsman 2. Did you like Kingsman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Kingsman. It made my top 10 of the year.
It was great, wasn't it? It was so good.
Mm.
Yeah, I loved it too. Shame Colin Firth had to die. Spoiler alert.
That's not how spoiler alerts work, Bandit. No, but I was expecting good things.
Deal with it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I was expecting good things from Kingsman. I wasn't expecting to have my mind blown in that church scene because Colin Firth, Taron Egerton to Borton Starr. You can't rate it highly enough.
Absolutely, yeah, because it released in January, and we're normally like, oh, January, you know what that means. But it was great. It was really good.
Yes.
And here's what Matthew Vaughn has announced, the title and a little bit of the plot. And the title is going to be Kingsman 2... Where is it? The Golden Circle.
I'm going to say Journey to the Drum Roll. You're going to keep us in suspense.
Yeah, that was intentional. Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle, which sounds a little bit like King Arthur sort of thing, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it makes sense because they've got Galahad, Lancelot. They do name the Kingsman agents after British famous knights, so it's in keeping with the theme.
Well, he says here, Kingsman: The Golden Ark. The Golden Ark is the agency that will be the Golden Ark. Oh God!
So where's the Ark come from?
The Golden Ark. He says the Kingsman Secret Service will be teaming up with their American counterparts, led by Halle Berry. This team up isn't exactly voluntary, as the Empire article also showed. Concept art for Kingsman HQ being completely decimated. And Matthew Vaughn said about making this movie, he said, I didn't know if I wanted to direct this or not. I was worried about the villain. Spy films are only as good as their villains, which is true. Then one morning I woke up with the whole storyline in place and a new villain plot. So good for you, Matthew Vaughn. I don't know why you hesitated about making the follow-up to this movie, since you could basically build your own little X-Men universe here, but hey, he's back and I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm glad that Vaughn is coming back because he's a guy who clearly wants to do hundreds of other ideas. He's got obviously a lot in the pipeline and a lot of things he wants to do, and the fact that this story is good enough for him to want to want to come back and do the sequel. He doesn't have to do Kingsman 2. They can just give it to somebody else. But the fact that he wants to come back, I think, is a good seal of quality, really.
Next story is Don Cheadle, who plays War Machine in the last few Iron Man movies, and he's going to play War Machine in Civil War. He's addressed kind of War Machine's apparent fate in Civil War, because you remember in the trailer he gets shot in the chest by some laser beam and then he falls to the ground, and we see Captain America taking off his mask and being like, "No, War Machine, my sidekick is dead." Well, Don Cheadle said this. He said, I'm on Twitter and I've gotten a lot of people saying, Rhodey better not be dead, son. Because if he's dead, I'm going to be so mad. He says, or I'm done with this thing if Rhodey's dead. And he says, but that's cool. I like that people get so upset about it. I like that in a Marvel movie, people are able to evoke such emotion. It does look bad for Rhodey, though. I'm
just imagining that everyone's talking about Bucky and Cap and Iron Man and all these things, and then there's Don Cheadle like, why does nobody care about me? I know, I'm just going to set up dozens of Twitter accounts and send them to myself saying, oh, it's so sad that this guy's dying.
That's what I thought. I'm like, does anybody really like War Machine that much?
No, I like him a lot. I think that Don Cheadle, because he had an uphill battle after Iron Man when he replaced that other guy. What's his name? The other guy, I forget.
Apparently now he's famous already in America, but I can't remember his name either.
No, I was thinking of Empire. Empire was what I was thinking of, because
Well, I do like the way in Iron Man 2 how they addressed that, where War Machine walks into the courtroom and it's the other guy, and Iron Man stands up and shakes his hand. He's like, didn't expect to see you here. And he goes, it's me, I'm here, accept it, move on.
Yeah, that's a really nice meta line.
Saying to all the fans, yes, I'm a new actor, who cares? Let's just do this.
Yeah.
But it sounds like from what he says here, where he says, it does look bad for Rhodey, that basically says to me that he's not really dead. He's not really going to die.
I think
looks that way in the trailer.
It might just end up being another Iron Man 3 situation where he's just got a friend who's in a coma for most of the movie.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Okay, last story. There's a lot of other stories about Batman v Superman, but we're going to shelve them because we're going to talk about it in a minute. Hugh Jackman, I don't know if you know or not, but is a real-life superhero because he saved a kid from drowning on an Australian beach. Good old Hugh Jackman. Just when you think he couldn't get any nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, he is just one of those guys who has everything. He's the type of guy who women want to be with and guys also want to be with. He's got everything. It's like when he was at the Oscars, it was the year that Les Miserables was nominated for everything, and Jennifer Lawrence won the Oscar. She gets up to the stage, she trips over, and like a shot, Hugh Jackman's there ready to pick her up. And he's just a true gentleman and a real-life hero, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you can actually find the video of him saving this kid online, because since he's Hugh Jackman, there's always going to be cameras following around. But the story goes like this. Hugh Jackman is hanging out on a beach in Australia when a fierce rip current began pulling people out to sea. Springing into action, Wolverine, this is what the article says, it doesn't call him Hugh Jackman, Wolverine jumped into the water and began getting people out while the lifeguards scrambled to get their own rescue efforts going. It may not be quite the same as going up against Magneto or William Stryker. Well, that's a callback. William Stryker, he's an old one. Haven't seen him as a villain in a long time. But chances are the triple threat Australian hunk saved a handful of lives by stepping up when duty called. They're trying to downplay it. Rips are scary, man. I've been caught in a rip myself. For someone to run in and try to save people from rips is really, really dangerous. So that's a big deal that Hugh Jackman did that.
Yeah, but when you read it out loud, it just sounds like the worst X-Men comic ever written. But if Hugh Jackman just dove into the water, but in real life,
up against his worst villain ever, the ocean.
Water.
He's just clawing the water, like
it's having no effect.
It keeps regenerating.
This is what it feels like. No, guy's clearly a class act. He has it all, and he has been in the news recently because he's been treated for skin cancer in February and things like that. And he's also using his own platform for fame to try and inform people about it. Guys, just
I didn't know that. Skin cancer, really.
he's been treated like 5 times for it. But
Maybe
he's
if he goes to the beach less often, he won't get skin cancer. Sure, some people might drown, but hey, he's a national treasure. We got to protect him.
no. Hugh Jackman has to go to the beach to stop people from drowning, and he is taking on this skin cancer burden for all of us. Apparently,
Well, actually, in the video, he is wearing a wetsuit, so maybe that's why, because he doesn't want to get, the skin cancer thing again. So that's probably why he's wearing a full wetsuit.
possibly. I'm going to see these pictures now. I'm curious.
Sure. So actually, Trilby, I thought there's one last bit of news we can talk about before Trey gets here. Last week, Trey and I talked about how one of the founders, the first CEO of Facebook, whose name I can't remember right now, has started...
Justin Timberlake.
Yes, Justin Timberlake.
From the social network.
Has started a new streaming service called Screening Room, which is basically like Netflix, but you can stream movies at home at the exact same time that they're out in cinema. So if it was out here now, you could watch Batman v Superman in your home right now. And we were talking about all the pros and cons of that. And actually there was actually a video of Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton from The Eagle arguing about it in an interview.
Okay.
But I was wondering, I'm in favor of it, Trey's against it. How do you feel about it?
See, I kind of wish I was on the podcast last week because I've got quite a bit to say about it. I side with Trey, but for your reasons. I can't have a simple opinion on this. I think that it's great that the consumer is being offered more choice, that they have options to view movies in their home, because you pay $50 to rent it for the weekend. If you're a family and you have multiple kids and you've got to drive, taking 2 parents, 2 or 3 kids, getting snacks, or a babysitter or whatever, or just all that stuff, you're going to end up paying $100 if you live in a city. So it's a good deal and it helps to get people to see more movies. But the issue is that this isn't going to benefit the small movies. You're not going to rent a movie like Anomalisa, or you might not even rent a movie like The Hateful Eight on this service. This is going to benefit the big blockbusters, the big animated films, Batman v Superman, stuff like that. And I'm surprised that James Cameron opposes this system and Steven Spielberg is for it, because you'd think that the type of films they make, it'll be the other way around, because you're not going to rent Bridge of Spies or Warhorse or the BFG on this service. You're going to rent an Avatar. You're going to rent big stuff. So I'm confused.
I think because I thought it would be the other way around, that the big blockbusters, people would want to see it in the cinema so they get that group experience, but the smaller ones, they'd be like, I'll just watch it at home. You think it'd be the other way around?
Yeah, I think it's an untested thing, so it's hard to tell, and I don't have any metrics or anything. I'm just going by gut instincts, but I just think that this is going to be a case of the bigger movies getting even bigger, and the smaller movies just sort of being relegated to the side. Like High Rise, you're not going to rent High Rise for $50 over the weekend. You're not going to rent. You may get cult films like Tarantino films on the occasional one, but this is just a case of the bigger movies getting bigger, and the mid-budgeted movies will be left to the wayside. At least I think so.
Yeah, but well, I actually... It'll be interesting to find out, because apparently when it starts, it's early... It won't be with all movies, and they actually are going to target it more for the smaller ones rather than the big blockbusters, at least initially. But I think inevitably, of course, if it takes off, it's going to expand to the bigger ones as well. But their thinking was that one way or another, this will sort of target people that otherwise wouldn't be going to see the movie anyway. So they figure, even if it's less of a cut than if people all went to the cinemas, it's still people that would not have gone to the cinemas anyway. And also I've found out, the reason that they're charging $50 for the movie is because, number one, they know that if you get the movie in your house, the whole family's going to watch it. So it's 5 people right there. So that's equivalent $50 already. But also it's because the split, even the cinemas themselves that Trey was so worried about that they're going to die out, they actually do get a cut. So the way it's going to work out is if you pay $50 to see Batman v Superman, $20 of that goes to Zack Snyder.
Directly to Zack Snyder.
Directly to him.
God.
$20 goes to the cinema that you didn't even go to, and then the last $10 goes to Screening Room. So cinemas won't actually be losing money. They're actually, because in that $50, you get to see it at home, and you get 48 hours to watch it at home, but you also get a free ticket. So if you decide to go to the movies as well, you don't have to pay again to see it. So even if you're not actually going to the cinema is still getting money. But you know what? It sounds really bizarre that they would divide it that way. But
because there's not just one cinema theatre chain. Like where would that $20 get distributed to? Because in the UK you get Cineworld, Odeon, Curzon, View. Like, do they all get a couple of dollars here and there?
It probably depends.
I don't see this working.
The only cinema chain they mentioned, the AMC Cinemas has signed on with this, so maybe they're sort of like negotiating with each cinema chain itself. But here's the thing, is like, back when I made my video about this way back like 6 months ago or whatever, I didn't know it was Screening Room, that I was just talking theoretically about it, but I thought there's no way cinemas are going to allow stuff like this to happen, because if people can watch it at home, they're not going to go to cinemas, so they'll boycott any movie that's going to do this. So I think the reason that they're giving this cut to cinemas is so that they won't boycott it.
Yeah, there is that track record. For example, Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, that had in certain territories a day and date release date on demand, and as a result, only like a third of of America cinemas actually took the movie on. It was more like a limited release in America, and it hurt the box office. So there is precedent for it. So giving them that cut makes sense.
Crouching
but
Tiger,
I still
Hidden Dragon
think
2, same thing. Yeah, got boycotted all throughout North America because it was on Netflix at the same time.
But I think this is the type of thing where it's hard enough to convince the average moviegoer to spend $10 on an unknown property, an original story, and things like that. And so that's why I think that you're not going to convince them to rent a $50 movie for the weekend, regardless of of how much you market it or make it look unique. This is something for big event movies that you want to watch in the home, or big animated films where you can't afford to take your 30 children or whatever, however many children kids are having nowadays. I think that's what it's going to boil down to. I think that this is going to, if they offered, say, for example, $50 and you got to rent all of the Oscar movies, all the Oscar-nominated movies for the weekend, I think that would be a good idea.
Trey's calling. I'll patch him in.
Trey's here.
Hello, Trey, you there?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, we were just in the middle of talking about Screening Room.
Okay.
So please finish your thought, Trilby. Hello, you there?
I'm here.
Ah, there we go. All three of us.
Okay, because the call was... Hello, we were just talking about this Screening Room thing that you love so much.
I had a really cool intro. I'll save it for next week.
Okay, so yes, welcome Trey to the show.
Martha.
Trilby, did you want to finish your thought about the Screening Room?
Basically, Trey, I side with you, but for Bandit's reasons, in that I think that obviously you can't replace the cinema experience. I think that but it's also good to give audience members choice. But I think what this Screen Room box is going to do is it's going to segment the type of movies that get viewed. This is going to be for big blockbuster entertainment. This is going to be for big high-profile family movies. You're not going to rent a movie like High Rise. You're not going to rent a movie like Anomalisa on this box for $50, and that's going to create a disparity. I think that if they
small movies are going to die.
Yeah, they're not gonna die. It's
even
going to have to be given
what said.
They're not going. They're going to die if you charge $50 for Anomalisa the same weekend Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice gets charged $50. Like, if you all the Academy Award nominated movies, you put them in a $50 bundle and you could watch them for a weekend. That's probably something you'd have to do. You need to do discounts. You need to do bundles, and the big event movies, like you invite a load of friends over to see Batman v Superman. Get some beers, have them in the comforts of your own room, stuff like that. I think that's where this is going to thrive. But I think giving audience members choice and giving them more options just helps in general and just gives the movie theaters a bit more competition, so they can maybe step up their game and provide a better service than they currently are.
Yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you right now, Ben, before you start. I think I agree with Trilby here. Sorry to interrupt you, Bandit, but I'd like to do my 2 cents. Thank you for saying that, Trilby, because if there's one thing that you're able to do is that you're able to tell me that I'm wrong very politely, and Bandit.
Well, I agree with your end point.
Yeah, because Bandit apparently only likes this because it means he doesn't have to leave his house to go watch a movie anymore. Because apparently he hates going to the movies. So it's nice to know that someone at least agrees with me that the cinema is an experience and not an annoyance.
Well,
even if you watch.
Well, look, obviously, it's not for everybody, but for the people who it will work for, it really works for. And Trey obviously doesn't care about those people. He's like, hey, screw them if they're not going to the cinemas.
That's
whatever.
not what I'm saying.
So I think it's great that there's actually an option now for people. Like parents with kids or whatever who don't want to. But look, what I was saying before was part of the reason, because I read more about this, part of the reason that it's $50 is because $20 goes to the studios. The other $20 goes to cinemas. Even if you don't go to see it, they still get their cut. So cinemas won't die, Trey. And the last $10 goes to cinema, the screening room or whatever it's called. But I don't for a second believe that this is a permanent thing, because as I was saying to Trilby before, the cinemas, I expected the cinemas were going to boycott any movie that tries to go on a streaming service to protect themselves. So I think what they're doing with Screening Room is we'll give you a $20 cut if someone orders a movie on Screening Room, even if they don't go to the cinemas, but that's just so they can build up an audience. I think once they've got enough of an audience online on the Screening Room, they'll just cut the cinemas out of the deal and leave them to wither and die. So...
So you're saying cinemas will still die from this?
I believe so.
What I've just heard.
If I was running Screening Room, that's what I'd do. I'd be like, yeah, cinemas, you can sign on. We'll give you $20. And then once we've got an audience and we don't need them anymore, boom, cut out of the deal. Go into the dustbin of mystery cinemas. Are you done? You're a better Lex Luthor than Jesse Eisenberg.
Oh. To be fair, anyone is a better...
river of snot running down my face. There we go.
Ding, 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 ding,
They're coming! They're coming! Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves. we
are
move on to our feature presentation?
Yeah, let's change the subject.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, our feature presentation. All right, guys. So as I was telling these guys before, the podcast is going to need to have some order. So which means that we're going to need to divide this podcast. We're still going to have no spoilers and spoilers, but in order to keep this conversation from being 3 hours of negativity, we're going to have...
There's a lot of negative stuff in this.
We're going
to...
There's self-control.
There's literally nothing positive. I have to say.
Well, then you're going to be silent for the next... You're going to be silent for
There's
the next 10 minutes.
A little bit positive.
Then we're going to be silent for the next 10 minutes. We're going to talk about what we liked and what we did not like. We're going to talk about what we liked first to keep the conversation flowing. I'm putting my foot down. Okay. All right. So, Trilby, I'll ask. I guess we'll start with general thoughts. Brief general thoughts. Okay. Bandit, I'll start with you. Everyone's been waiting for this. What are your general thoughts of Batman v Superman? Briefly.
Well, okay. A lot of people online are like, a lot of people saying it's bad, but it's not that bad. To which I say, you go ahead and you call it Grandma's peach tea if that makes you feel better. But we all know what it really is. It's a jar of stinking urine. Is it the worst movie of all time? Yes. Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
This is literally...
It's not worse than Tusk.
No, it is. It's
not
worse. I'll explain in detail once we get into spoilers. This is literally the worst thing, in my opinion, ever put on any film. I give this movie a score of 0.0. So you want to talk about positives? You could skip me, because there is literally not one single positive thing in this entire movie, according to me.
Okay. I want to see you in 3 weeks.
I'm not even joking. I seriously do think it's the worst movie ever made.
I want to see how you feel in about a month or so. But Shelby, what were your general thoughts?
I saw it a second time yesterday. I still think it's the worst.
Oh, okay. Shelby, what are your general thoughts?
I am astonished that this movie can even exist the way it does, because after Man of Steel, even its most ardent defenders are thinking it's a bit of a shaky foundation to build a cinematic universe on. And Warner Brothers what they've done is that they've planned, Suicide Squad is basically done. Wonder Woman finishes filming anytime now, and Justice League Part 1 is filming next month. The wheels are already in motion. They have a lot invested in this. If you look at their release schedule, the next 5 years are all DC, Warner Brothers cinematic universe movies. And this movie costs $500 million once all of the production costs and the marketing, and probably even more than that. And
really?
I'm just thinking,
Well, it was
if you
$250 in
include marketing.
production budget. So double that
Yes.
in marketing, it's about $500 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm just thinking, how could the higher ups at Warner Brothers have looked at that script and that story and thought, "Yep, this is worth putting $500 million into"? I don't comprehend it. It kind of gives me hope because I want to get into making films, and I'm thinking if they accept that screenplay, then there's hope
Does
for
this
me.
make you want to smile? It's like, oh, so you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah. Okay.
Basically.
Yeah, you know what? It's like, again, we're not giving any spoilers to the spoiler section, but it's like, I thought about it, I was like, if you took like the Amazing Spider-Man 2's kind of storytelling, where it's totally disjointed and nothing really connects with anything else, and then you combined it with like what happens to Kirk in Star Trek Into Darkness towards the end of that movie, and then you take the bad fight scenes from Godzilla 2014 where it's all at nighttime in clouds of dust where you can't see it. You put them all together with like attempts at Nolan dialogue that is really, really awful and actually contradicts itself several times. That's basically what this movie is. It's like Zack Snyder deliberately cherry-picked all the worst parts of all the worst movies of the last 5 years.
I did say brief.
And just put them
Bandit,
all
we'll
together.
get to you. I'm playing judge, jury, and executioner in this podcast before we get to spoilers. And Bandit, I promise you, I'll let you loose in spoilers. But Trilby...
Do you mean judge, jury, executioner, justice?
Yes. We'll get to... Okay.
Because nothing says justice like stabbing a man in the heart. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Okay, here's my thing about this movie, guys.
Did you like Ben Affleck as the Punisher? He did such a great job, didn't he?
See,
sorry, I'll shut up.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So I feel like there is a good movie in here somewhere, and it's called Ben Affleck's Batman movie that comes out in a couple of years. Because when that comes out, I'll be excited. Because I feel like Ben Affleck wanted to make Batman a certain way, but Zack Snyder kept saying, "No, man, you gotta do it like this, man, just like when I was a kid, man." And okay. I feel like there should have been a great movie here, and there could have been a great movie here. But I don't think it's the script's fault. I think Chris Terrio did what he could. I think David S. Goyer is a terrible screenwriter, and he's been a terrible screenwriter since he left Nolan. So I think that Chris Terrio couldn't save it, which means that Zack Snyder's working with a bad script, and when Zack Snyder has a bad script, you get Sucker Punch, which makes sense that this movie's terrible, because it's terrible. Everyone's great in it, I guess if we're talking positives. Everyone's great in it. But I didn't say the characters. I didn't say the characters were good. I said everyone was great in it. Great, as in like Henry Cavill did what he could. They gave him F all to do. He did. They gave Superman absolutely nothing to do in this movie except be sad. Be sadder than he was in Man of Steel of all things. And Henry Cavill does that well. Ben Affleck is great. It sucks that Batman's not Batman. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell.
Mm-hmm. And Lex Luthor isn't Lex Luthor, and Wonder Woman is
that's the best
looking
Joker.
for a photograph for some reason. And no character is like the character it is. It's like Zack Snyder's like, "Ooh, I'm going to put my own spin on everything." No, don't put your own spin on it. Just do it like they are in the comics. That's the way it's supposed to work. That's why Deadpool, the second Deadpool, is good, because he's comic accurate. Stop trying to make your stupid, dark versions of everyone. Just make them like the comics are supposed to have them be.
I'm okay with there being diversions from where the comics are. I'm okay with that. But my thing, man, I told you I let you listen to spoilers. I got you, all right? Be patient, son Skywalker. But I do think the characterization of Batman's all right. That's honestly my biggest problem with this. It sucks because the movie, without giving anything away, the movie opens awesomely. Like, I think the first 10 or so minutes are great. I was sold. From the opening credits to the opening scene, it was great. And then things started happening, and I understood what this movie really was going to be. A collection of disjointed scenes that have no connection to one another, and just it all felt like a big mush. It's like they were trying to make us, like, they were trying to build a block castle, like a castle of Lego blocks. But simultaneously, while they're trying to build that castle, they're collecting pieces to build other castles in the future. It's like, no. Just focus on this castle.
Well, here's the thing. This movie is
Batman v Superman. That's where you need to focus, not on Lois Lane investigating a bullet for the first hour and a half of the movie that nobody cares about.
It's phenomenally overcomplicated. This should be such a simple movie to make. That, as in structurally, story-wise, that's fine. And you'd think that the inciting incident that turns everyone against Superman is the destruction of Metropolis, but no, this starts 18 months later, and the inciting incident is this weird thing in Africa that the audience are literally not told what happened.
Yeah.
So characters are referenced. Yeah, well, this is the first 10 minutes.
Well, it's still
first
in the
10
movie.
minutes.
Yeah, it's the first
It's
10
still in
minutes,
the
and
movie.
it has absolutely no impact on the rest of the story anyway. Just
No,
like
it has all
almost
of the
everything else
impact,
that
but the
happens.
audience just aren't told what happened. They're not told this information that everyone's referring to.
Yeah, I love the fact of Metropolis getting nuked in the last movie. That doesn't stop them building a statue of a monument to Superman in the middle of the wreckage. But, if a couple of terrorists get shot... Oh well,
That's what
now
I'm saying.
Superman's a real bad guy, right? Ooh,
It's like if after 9/11
they're
they build a
terrorists. Who
statue.
cares?
It's like if after 9/11 they built a statue of Osama bin Laden in New York. It's like, well, no, that's the wrong thing to do. No thank you. It's okay. You know what, guys? I'm sorry, audience. We can't keep our thoughts together. We're gonna go ahead. Spoilers. It's time for spoilers.
Right,
you haven't
I've
seen
just
the
got to.
movie.
I've just got to mention this. I just got to mention this because this takes place 18 months after the events of Man of Steel. The audience aren't told anything that happened during that time, and it's clear that the events of Man of Steel have not impacted Superman at all because he opens the movie with an act of unwarranted murder.
Yes.
He
Pretty much
flat
the
out
first thing he
murders that
does is he
terrorist.
barrels a guy through a wall.
So that
Through
was the
multiple
point, guys.
walls.
So I'm sorry, because I know people get mad when we go right into spoilers, so I didn't get to give my full warning. If you haven't seen the movie, please go and click those time codes in the description, whatever. Please, spoilers. Okay, you guys keep going. Go ahead.
You can't give this a spoiler-free analysis. It's so thoroughly dense with badness, like seeping from every pore.
Yeah, because we
I
can't
like this movie the best,
adequately
actually.
explain how it's bad if we can't go into spoilers. So, look, I knew
Where do you begin?
I knew we were in a bit of trouble from the very first scene where it immediately insists on making us watch the whole backstory of Batman beat by beat
Well,
all over
I
again,
liked
as
it.
if we haven't
you
seen it 5 million times. Granted,
It's to let. I
it's
think
somewhat necessary because he does say the word Martha, but why not include that in one of the 15 million other dream sequences that Ben Affleck has
here's
throughout the movie?
my answer. Here's my answer to your question. So I think it's one of those things where you just kind of, it's something that kind of has to happen. It's like when they rebooted the Hulk. They did.
We all know that Bandit
They gave
hates
us
the
Hulk's
Incredible
origin
Hulk.
in the first. That's right. But
Don't
they
worry
did
about it,
do
just
that.
go on, yeah.
This is a way to reintroduce Batman into the audience to understand this is the same Batman, same origin. It just to let people know that what's going on. It makes sure that people are aware, people are all up to speed. It's something I feel like even if I were to do a Batman movie, I would have it open if it's a reboot or whatever. I would have it open with the death of his parents. It wouldn't be 40 minutes into the movie, of course not. It would, but I think they handled that really well. I thought it was a really cool scene. Besides the Martha, but I thought it was really cool.
It's visually good.
Whatever. Well, that's all it is. It's just visual spectacle.
By the way, Trey,
Nothing really happens there.
Trey, did you like that Batman's parents were Negan and Maggie from The Walking Dead?
That was nice to see. Nice to see Maggie get shot in the face. That was a nice little touch.
The dad is the comedian from Watchmen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
same
cool was
actor,
that though?
yeah.
When the barrel? How cool was that when the barrel broke the pearls? I thought that was a really cool shot.
That's taken from a comic book panel directly. I can't remember which
It
one
felt
though.
weird though that
That implies she got shot in the face.
But it felt weird that happening like on a major street rather than in a dark alleyway. I mean, they're right on the street. Like, shouldn't that happen in an alleyway?
This is Gotham. That's how
There's
bad it
cars
is.
driving past. There's people like probably 10 feet away. And I don't know. Maybe that was an idea of Gotham's such a cesspit that you can rob someone blatantly out in the open like that. But it just felt weird to me. It's called
Just like
Crime
Grimsby.
Alley because it's an alley.
Yeah.
That's where his parents die, not Crime Street.
I was gonna say maybe the street's called Crime Alley, but that's honestly that is the least of this movie's problems is the fact that they die on the street. That's the definition of a nitpick. But whatever.
Can I ask you
there
guys
are
a question too?
Please, I have an answer.
Can
Go ahead.
anyone explain to me why did Lex hate Superman? Apart from the fact that he's Lex Luthor and he has to. Why did he hate Superman? Because he thinks a painting's upside down? That's why he hates Superman?
I think what he was trying to get
there's
at
no reason.
is because they gave the backstory of how, you know, his dad used to beat him down or whatever, and how he wanted to feel powerful, and he thought he had all the power. And so now I'm not saying this works. I'm saying this is the reason they gave for it. You know, they're trying to say that, you know, just when he thinks he's all powerful, just thinks when he's the best in the world, someone comes through and shows that he is not. And so he's like, well, now I gotta take this guy down because he's more powerful than I am. But then again, I feel like that's what they tried to do with Batman as well. That seems to be an overarching theme in the movie, is a power struggle that doesn't really need to be there. It's a weird motivation. I don't agree with it.
You know what they did? They took the reasons that Lex usually hates Superman in the comics, they took those and gave them to Batman. And the reason Batman's view towards Superman, they took it and gave it to Lex. They swapped them. Like, in this, Jesse Eisenberg is like, we need to stockpile these kryptonite weapons in case he ever goes bad as a precaution. That's usually Batman saying that. He's like, okay, he's saving people, but just in case, I'm going to have these things ready in case I need them. That's normally Batman's viewpoint. And Batman's viewpoint in this is what Lex is in the comics. Lex is like, this guy's an alien, he doesn't belong here, I don't care how many people he saves, doesn't matter to me, I will never view him as not a threat. That's Lex Luthor's view, but in this movie, that's what Ben Affleck thinks. They've taken the brains of Lex and Batman and swapped them. It's ridiculous.
I'm assuming that at some point in this movie, the Joker was included, and then they got rid of him in the script and just gave all of his lines to Lex.
Yeah.
And I
I almost swore.
I feel so sorry for Jared Leto in Suicide Squad, because nothing that Joker does will be as insane and as off the wall than what Lex Luthor did in this movie.
I know, and people are going to try and justify it and like, oh, but this Lex isn't Lex Luthor, he's the son of Lex Luthor. Shut up. I don't care if that's the stupid backstory they gave him.
Shut the
He's Lex Luthor,
because
okay?
the paper says that
And
Mr.
he's
Lex Luthor was
awful.
sitting on his chair.
Awful! All of the concerns
nothing.
all of the concerns everyone had for him in the trailers are justified. He sucks.
Yeah.
He does a
Nothing
great impression
about
of Jesse Eisenberg. I'll give you that. Jesse Eisenberg
He
does
does
a
better
great
than
Jesse Eisenberg.
nothing about Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor works in this movie. Not a single. His plan. What was his plan? He wants to frame Superman in Africa by
Oh God.
we're not even told what happened in Africa, so whatever. But he practically signs the crime scene by giving these people bullets that can only be traced back to his company.
Yes.
Even though what they're doing didn't need experimental bullets.
That's right.
And then what he does... And then,
Lex is supposed to be the smartest human being on the planet, and he has his henchmen shooting people with bullets that practically have his name written on them. That doesn't sound like the smartest man on Earth to me. And he's trying to frame. He's doing that to try to frame Superman, but Superman doesn't shoot people with bullets.
Exactly. Yeah. And what happens is that he blows up this Senate hearing, and I thought it was maybe he was going to frame Superman for that. But then the news reports afterwards are like, we can confirm that it was a suicide bomber from the guest who Lex invited. And nobody arrests Lex, even though he must be the prime suspect and the only survivor apart from Superman.
You know what? And watching it a second time, what makes that even more confusing? Lex didn't put the bomb in the wheelchair. That guy did it on his own.
What?
Yep.
What?
Because earlier I watched it...
Well, he sent the letters.
I know, but
this
is why it's so confusing, because earlier in the movie...
Oh my, what?
We get a shot of the inside of that guy's apartment, and he's got the newspaper clippings all over the walls to show that he's crazy, because that's Dom writing 101 of how you show someone's crazy. And he's actually making pipe bombs. You see him making pipe bombs, and after he gets arrested for graffitiing the statue, they say he's made terrorist threats against the government before. So he put those bombs in the wheelchair himself, and it's just really lucky that Lex didn't happen to go in there and take his seat. Otherwise, he would have been dead.
Everything narratively is setting up Lex to do that, because he gives the guy the chair.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
But see, that's the thing. Like,
to be fair,
Lex
guys, when Batman's an idiot, it's not shocking. It's not shocking that Lex is this stupid. When Batman's the dumbest person in this movie, it's not that surprising.
If it's
let's continue breaking down.
Oh God.
Let's continue breaking down Lex's plan. He decides he's gonna get Batman to kill Superman. So he gets this kryptonite from the bottom of the ocean. Why did Superman not clear up the world engine in the 18 months since Man of Steel?
Yes.
That must be polluting the ocean.
Why did he let them even take the scout ship? Why did he let the government even have it? I took it for granted he'd either fly it away or he'd strip it from technology and let them have some of it. But this
I thought he
Superman's
took
so
at the end
stupid,
of the... Oh wait,
he
no,
just
that was
lets
your
them
script.
have it.
Oops. Bandit,
Sorry.
I legit thought that your script was canon. I was like, wait a minute, but he took it in the... Oh wait, no, that was Bandit's video from 2 years ago. I legit thought that was... My bad.
I just took
So
it for
he-
granted.
so Lex
Sorry,
Engi-
please go on, yeah.
Yeah, so Lex engineers this entire scheme to get Batman to hate Superman, even though he hates Superman already and literally has no need to do anything because Batman's
Yeah.
going to do all this on his own. So he gets the kryptonite. Lex gets the kryptonite. Batman tries to steal it off him. Superman stops him for reasons, but doesn't stop the other criminals. And then why don't they? You could, like I said, this is so overly complicated. You could, Lex and Bruce are meant to be like businessmen, some of the most wealthy people in the universe. They could have just collaborated together, and they could have just shared the kryptonite or something. And then Bruce can be like, "Oh, Lex betrayed me. Let's go and turn on it or something." It doesn't need to have all these double crosses. It doesn't need the jar of piss.
No.
It doesn't need all of this nonsense.
That's right. And you know what? Is like when he's talking to Superman, when he's up on the helicopter platform before the fight with Superman and Batman, he says to him like, "Oh, it took me 2 years to manipulate Batman to get him to want to fight you, sending him all these letters, you let your family die." And it's like, but he only saw those letters 5 seconds before the bomb went off. So how did that manipulate him? Like, so if you were trying to manipulate him, you let him take the kryptonite? Well, you sure made it really hard for him to take it. Why didn't you just give it to him? Like, Lex talks to Bruce Wayne. Because think about this. If he was sending those "you let your family die" letters to Bruce Wayne, he obviously knows Bruce Wayne is Batman. Why didn't Lex just walk in there and say, "Hey, here's some kryptonite. Use it"? Or better yet, why didn't he just keep the kryptonite, take Lois Lane,
Because
and then
you
when
gotta
Superman
have-
comes in close,
because you
boom,
gotta have-
shank in the heart. Simple.
Bandit, because you gotta have a jar of piss. That's why. Because you gotta make sure Lex pisses
Every
in the
movie
jar.
needs a jar of piss. Yeah,
Of course.
But can we just talk about how in this movie it's established that Batman has been working in Gotham for 20 years. That's what Bruce Wayne and Alfred talk about. Why does everyone, including the news reporters, Clark Kent, Perry White, everybody, act like Batman has just turned up? Everyone's like, "Oh, this Bat vigilante. Who is this guy?" The news reporters say, like, that they've never seen this before. Like, this is the first time the news reporters talk about this on the
Do they
TV.
say that?
And I'm just
Batman,
I never got
they
that
do,
impression.
Batman is Batman's been in here for 20 years, but Batman's my biggest problem with this movie. Honestly, like I could let
Hang on,
a lot more of this.
Just before we move on, could I just talk about that? Because I did get the impression though that Batman had been around and everyone knows he's around, and like Perry White's got that bit where he's like, "Crime wave in Gotham, other news, water is wet." So I just kind of got the impression that everyone's like, "Yeah, that's just Gotham. They got this lunatic in a bat suit." So I didn't get the impression he was new. Anyway, it doesn't
it's
matter.
the news report. The news reporters are talking about how this is completely new and they don't know anything about this Batman. It's like, because the cheapest part of any film production is the pre-production. When you write the script, you just hire one proofreader, and because like 80% of the issues with this movie are from a script and story level before the cameras even started filming, and that's what makes this movie so egregious to
Zack
me.
Snyder's not a storyteller. Zack Snyder, I've said this before, Bandit, look. Bandit, how many times have we said this? Zack Snyder is a great filmmaker, but he was before this piece of crap, but he is not a great storyteller, because the worst part, because even the action in this movie sucks.
Yeah, the action is
it
really,
does.
really
the
bad.
fight scene is really lame.
I think, like, I feel like
Actually, all
Zack
the fight
Snyder,
scenes are
like, he literally, I think, I like some of this movie, but, like, I probably like this movie more than both of you guys do, and that's just because I think Ben Affleck does a great job, and I like all of Wonder Woman's scenes. It sucks that his Batman's a murderer.
He does do a good performance. Unfortunately, though, the character that he's being forced to play is a psychopathic serial killer with the intelligence of a 5-year-old. That's not
Shelby,
Batman.
do you understand what this means? Shelby, do you understand what this means? Bandit just said that he liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
No, I like Ben Affleck as this psychopathic serial killer with the intelligence of a 5-year-old, but he's not Batman.
I think that Ben Affleck and Jeremy Irons are great together. They have a great rapport with each other. I think Jeremy Irons, I hope he's got a multi-picture deal just like Affleck has, because he's great. But with Wonder Woman,
those are you can tell they're fans of this material. Like it's not. Plus, it's not that hard to mess up Alfred. Like Batman and Robin had a good Alfred. It's not hard to mess up Alfred. You know?
No, but he still feels like a very unique one. Like I love how he takes over the Batwing and he's got the drone, and I think he's really good.
Yeah,
but Gal Gadot was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is flat. She's boring. In terms of the action that she does at the end, it's nothing original or unique. And I just think that maybe Zack Snyder can't direct her.
I liked the bit when Doomsday like Batman and Superman, they're talking to each other, and then it pans up and you see Doomsday just like pimp slap Wonder Woman into a rock or something, and she backs up and she looks down, smiles, and jumps back at him. I thought that was cool. I don't know.
That was just a generic thing that Chris Hemsworth does 1,000 times better as Thor. And this, I'll try and not do many Marvel comparisons, but it's unavoidable. I think.
Tweet him at Trilby if you have a problem. He doesn't care, but you can compare Marvel all you want.
Yeah, send all of the hate mail to Bandit Incorporated at Gmail.
Yeah, send it. Come on, bring it.
At Wikipedia Brown. All right, I got you.
Wonder Woman. Yeah. Wonder Woman's been on Earth since 1918. They established that. She's about to get on a plane. She sees Doomsday. She's like, well, I've been here for 100 years and done nothing. Now I'm going to step in and help this monster. Well, it would have been nice if you stepped in when Zod was shooting a laser through the whole planet. You've been here.
No.
How did you not know that was happening?
She was too busy trying to find trailers for the next 5 DC movies.
She literally is watching trailers for the next movies on her laptop. Oh my god.
Oh, it's so blatantly pandering.
How weird did Aquaman look? He's just kind of floating there awkwardly for like 10 seconds, just going.
Let's talk about this. Okay, I liked it. I won't. Okay, don't hate me for this. If you don't like it, that's fine.
You liked Dawn of Justice?
Specifically, and honestly, to be honest with you, I think the Dawn of Justice parts are the best parts of this movie, which suck. Because that's not what this movie's supposed to be about, which sucks. Because that's literally 8 minutes of the movie is Dawn of Justice. But whenever they do focus on the Justice League origin stuff, I really enjoyed it. I loved, with the exception of Cyborg stuff, because the Mother Buck looked awful, I loved all the Justice League stuff. I think that the Flash was really cool. I think it sets that character up right away through like mannerisms and whatnot. I really enjoyed the Wonder Woman picture and what.
Where was he during Man of Steel? That's what I'd like to know as well.
He was too busy causing a lot of destruction in shops.
See,
that gets me.
See, that's the problem with them trying to go to Justice League in one movie. You know, where was everybody when everything else was happening? I don't know. Sorry, Trey. Please go on.
It's fine. It's like I think I liked Aquaman's stuff up until he stares at the camera for 10 seconds. Yeah. I liked when the camera's like 5
seconds off that, it might have been all right.
Yeah. Like they're shining in the dark, and you see like these weird, like the same way you would see a deer's eyes, and if you're looking in the forest, it's like, oh man, that's cool. And he flies to he swims to the camera, and like, oh man, that's cool. And he stares at the camera for 10 seconds, and then swims away. Okay, all right. But I don't know. I liked all the Dawn of Justice bits. I'm excited for Wonder Woman now.
Did you like the nightmare sequence, the one that was completely out of place and was never referenced again? And then Batman has a dream within a dream when the Flash comes along and says something about
in a dream sequence.
And the Flash says stuff that is incomprehensible to make out because it's so distorted. Something about Lois Lane being the key, and then Bruce Wayne never references Lois Lane again. It's so out of place, and
he says you were right about Superman. So apparently Superman is a bad guy. What?
No, he can't be a bad guy because his mother's name's Martha.
Yeah,
clearly.
Before we get on, can I just go back to Wonder Woman? So let's just take a look at Wonder Woman's role in this movie. Before she shows up to fight Doomsday at the end, her whole purpose in this movie is she's trying to get this photograph back. Why does she want the photograph back? Because it has a picture of her from 1918. Wonder Woman, you're living in a time where there's Photoshop, okay? Even if this photo does come out, you can just say it's a fake. And even if you can't say it's a fake, who cares? What, you're afraid you're going to be revealed, your identity revealed to the world? Big deal. It's not like...
It's Superman.
See, like, Clark Kent doesn't want his identity revealed because he has family that would be put in jeopardy. She doesn't have family in jeopardy. Who cares if she knows she's Wonder Woman?
They're in a different dimension. They're on an island or whatever. All right. Are they going to go nuke the mascara?
There's no reason she should even care if there's a photograph about it. So why does she care about getting it back? It's ridiculous.
Well, all of this encrypted data that Bruce Wayne is after, even though he seems to already know what kryptonite is, where it is, and what it does before he gets this information, because there's that scene where he talks to Alfred, because he's like, "Oh, there's a dirty bomb in Gotham," and Alfred confronts him about it and says that it's a lie. So Bruce Wayne already knew all of this encrypted information before he got the device, which indicates that this movie has been edited out of order.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys.
And you know what? Is like, so if he wanted Batman to kill Superman all along, then presumably he also wanted Bruce Wayne to go down into his basement and hack into his computer. But in the party right upstairs, Lex says to him, he's like, "Hey, you should come by the office. Maybe we can work on something." How easy would it have been for Lex to just say, "Look, you don't trust Superman, neither do I, so why don't we pool our resources and see what we can do?"
Okay,
this is a
here's my
for this super elaborate scheme.
Chobi,
This is a massive nitpick.
we'll get to your nitpick in a second, but I'd like to make a point here.
But it's related
it's
to Bandit's
okay.
scene.
Okay, go ahead.
Why does Superman follow Bruce Wayne down into Lex Luthor's basement when he has X-ray vision?
Yes, I
okay,
thought
that's
that
it.
too.
That's it.
Why does
That's
he...
my nitpick.
I liked it. Oops. Okay.
And also,
Sorry.
if he has telescopic vision, X-ray vision, and super hearing, how could he not spot that his mother is just over there? No, I'm going to go kill Batman, even though she's close enough. Let me just... God damn it.
He is quick enough to go in there, get Martha Wayne, and get her next to that. That's my
she's
biggest problem
close
with
enough
this
that Batman could
All right.
fly there in his Batplane. Superman at his super speed, he could fly around and scan the entire city and find her in like half a second.
I have a point.
He's got like an hour on that egg timer thing. He could have found her in 2 seconds.
Okay. It's weird. It sucks to me that this movie, with every positive thing I can find, it's bogged down by 3 negatives, which sucks because
just 3.
Ben Affleck is.
The more you think about them, they multiply. They're like weeds.
It's like that Harry Potter. It's like that curse in Harry Potter, Chobi, in Deathly Hallows Part 2. Everything they touch multiplies. Look at all the plot holes. It doesn't make any sense. You just get drowned in a boggle mess. But it's like Ben Affleck is great as Batman. It's a shame that Batman kills, and it's not like Batman anymore. You know, it's like it's Jesse Eisenberg does a great performance.
55 people, by the way. I counted the second time I watched.
Oh shit!
He kills 55 people.
It's a shame that Jesse Eisenberg is great great in the movie, but he's not playing Lex Luthor. He's playing the Joker or would have been a really awesome Riddler. But which
I don't
sucks.
even think he was good.
I
think everything about this performance was so misjudged. He didn't in this universe. He felt so out of place, and he doesn't feel like he could possibly belong in this universe. And bear in mind, this is a universe that contains gods, men dressed as bats, and a mermaid man who can talk to fish. He has so many facial tics
in that universe.
I think it was a breath of fresh air, because this movie's so dreary. This movie's so depressing at this. It's depressing in the worst kind of way.
Breath of fresh air, you must live in a sewer, because that was not a breath of fresh air. That was a breath of Zack Snyder farting right in your face. That's what it was.
This movie is essentially a fart in the face, and so I'm not saying I like the portrayal of Lex Luthor. I'm saying I like Jesse Eisenberg's performance because it was something different than we have gotten for it. It was something that we hadn't seen before in this universe, which I
look. If his character was, if he played it exactly as he was, but he, instead of being Lex Luthor, he was Toy Man or he was Riddler, then I'd say great. But he's Lex. Yeah. Lex is the exact opposite of what Lex is like.
There is only one way they can redeem this character now in future sequels, in that he gets a visit in prison from Bryan Cranston as Lex Luthor Senior, saying, "Why are you such a little punk ass?" And then it's like slaps him across the prison cell.
Yes,
you done effed
Something
up.
Like
you done
that.
effed up, Alex. Let Daddy handle this. I got you. It's like Jason Statham in Furious 7. he just shows
pretty
up
much.
in wreck shop. Yeah. That won't happen, but that's whatever, because they shaved his head.
What?
That was, right? You know what that folder was, right? That Wonder Woman got? It was essentially the Oscorp door from Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was just like the door that had all the numbers on it. It was the octopus arms, the vulture wings. It was essentially the same thing. I was just like, man, this...
And did you notice the name of those files indicating that Lex Luthor has named the members of the Justice League?
And designed little logos for each one of them.
Yeah, they had a great...
He's really thought about the branding.
Yeah.
He drew a little lightning bolt for Flash, and even got Cyborg's logo right. What an amazing coincidence!
I thought it was a pretty cool scene just as a fan because like Batman gets back upstairs, he's following. It's at Lex Luthor's party. He's following Wonder Woman. You know, you're like, oh man, he's gonna talk to Wonder Woman, and then Superman just steps in and starts talking to him. I don't know. For me, that scene was just like I had a little like nerdy little nerd moment because I was just like, wow. Superman just interrupted Batman trying to talk to Wonder Woman. I was just kind of had a moment of like, oh man, that was cool. That's just one minor thing that I enjoyed out of this. But then again, it gets bogged down by this weird file and these weird flashbacks and this really stupid Flash dream that looks nothing like the Flash.
And Batman trying to find KGB's passport. Wow, isn't that amazing?
A murderous Batman.
Isn't this exciting? All you people that didn't go to see the movie, I bet you're jealous. Aren't you jealous that you don't get to see Lois investigating a bullet for 45 minutes and then Batman trying to find a Russian guy's passport for the next 45 minutes?
That's what Batman v Superman's all about.
When you go to see Batman v Superman? Ugh.
But Bandit, you wanted Batman to be a detective, yeah, but not to detect boring stuff.
Yes,
I have two minor questions. I have two minor questions for either. Two questions for either of you. One, what does Lex's company do? And two, what does Wayne Enterprises do? It's never said in the movie.
I think Wayne Enterprises is like. I think they're both like philanthropist countries. I don't bloody know. Does it matter?
Well, I think this is meant to be a world-building cinematic universe movie, and it just feels like they've really skipped and cut a lot of corners.
Yeah.
Just in just basic establishment and world building.
Well, I know in the comics, Wayne Enterprises is dabbles in pretty much everything, but I know LexCorp is supposed to be purely tech, scientific stuff. So it competes with Wayne Enterprises in that regard. But
because their leader is a wacky dude. Yo, what's going on, man? Where my sweet kicks and my Olay soap and my Nike shoes and my Dawson basketball. Good God.
Yeah, you know what? Because in the comics, Lex Luthor hates Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne just inherited all his money and didn't earn it, and Lex feels like he actually earned it. In this, it's the opposite. Lex Luthor is actually the bratty little son that inherited everything from his rich father, and Bruce Wayne is the one who apparently earned it all. So again, they've totally got the characters backwards. It's atrocious.
Speaking of things sitting backwards, how cool would it have been if instead of Lex Luthor's theme being the way it was, why isn't that theme for Batman? I really liked the music that Junkie XL and Hans Zimmer developed here, but those themes should have been switched. I feel like
honestly,
Lex Luthor's theme would be for Batman.
The music did nothing for me. I don't think it's a bad score.
I liked Wonder Woman's theme.
I can't even remember it. I remember none of the music.
Like the weird, like kind of the guitar, like it felt kind of Western-esque to me. I know, I enjoyed.
I actually agree with you, Trilby. Normally, I don't even really notice score in movies, but I found this time, for some reason, the music just sort of stuck out like a sore thumb. Especially,
I think it's because the themes are in the wrong place, especially when Lex's theme came on screen.
And I think, I found, especially when they tried to play that emotional Clark Kent music.
Oh
my
take
God.
A drink whenever that kicks
that
in.
was so. But it's such a like the whole rest of the movie is so bleak and horrible that when it suddenly switches without jumps from one scene to another as it often does, and then all of a sudden you hear that music, it's just so awkward and it's so out of place.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it feels like it's in an entirely different movie.
And you know what, Zack Snyder, if you want the whole reason that the fight is going to go down to be because of Martha, maybe try giving her more than just one scene in the movie before that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
But you don't understand, Bandit. We had to learn about rivers and cake. We had to learn about hero cake and rivers, Bandit. You don't understand.
Oh, God.
But let's just talk about that big
fight?
Yeah, it takes about 2 hours to happen and lasts 5 minutes. But can we talk about how Superman quickly devolves into murder? Like, he tries maybe for 10 seconds to talk Batman out of it, and then he's like, you know what? Screw it. I know that I'm basically invincible. I don't know that he's got kryptonite.
I like when he knocks him down. I really enjoyed that bit. When, Batman, he's trying to talk to Batman, and then Batman just, keeps hitting him, whatever, and Superman's just and it's shoves him down. I really enjoy. Look, I'm not saying I like the fight, but there are certain bits that I do enjoy. I think it went on. It didn't go on for long enough. I don't know. Batman is not a. I almost swore again. Batman is not a freaking murderer. Batman does not kill. That is the one thing.
And I know
Snyder.
He
we
can't
gave him
be,
80
he
years
can't
of
be a
comics.
murderer. And you know why? Because I know a lot of DC fans are going to be like, well, in this Elseworld story he killed, or in that Elseworld story he killed. They're Elseworld stories. I'll tell you why he can't be a murderer, all you fans and Zack Snyder. Because if you want to introduce a Batman that murders every criminal indiscriminately, then how the hell are you going to explain why Jared Leto's Joker is even alive?
Thank you!
If Batman kills
Thank you.
everyone, why hasn't he killed the Joker? Joker should be number one on the hit list. That's why Batman can't be a murderer.
That's why I was thinking the ending of Man of. That's why I was thinking the ending of Man of Steel would okay, he kills Zod, but maybe that's the catalyst for why Superman never kills again. But he jumps so quickly to murder in this movie.
He kills the guy right
do.
at the start
They're
when
all
he knocks the guy through 2 walls.
He kills 55 people in this movie, and it makes it laughable that he can then turn around and say, "Oh, what about all the people that died in Man of Steel? Dude, you must have killed hundreds of people in your career. Hundreds."
And while we're on the subject of Batman hates Superman because he, in the Battle of Metropolis, he brought Zod to a populated area and caused all of this collateral damage. But in this movie, Batman is like, "Oh, I've got to get the spear to kill Doomsday. I'll take him back to Gotham and cause all of this collateral damage."
Yeah, what was
like,
that?
He's like, "Oh, it's on this uninhabited island, but I need to get the spear, so I need to draw him back into the city." No, you don't, dude. You're in the Batplane. Fly over there.
Yeah, let's just say
back.
maybe be like, "Hey, Soups, fight Doomsday while I get in my plane and go get the spear." And while he's not looking, I'm just gonna go ahead and spear him in the back.
But
that way, you don't have to die the second.
He does have a line though when he gets there. When Wonder Woman shows up, she's like, "Why'd you bring him here?" He says, "Well, these docks are empty." So at least they have an excuse there. But still,
but look how
that was
big of a shockwave he
I don't like
causes.
that.
Why did he make no? He flew there to get the spear, and then he makes no effort to get it. And Lois Lane is going to get it, but he doesn't know that. Why wasn't he trying to get the spear? That's the whole reason he went there.
Was anyone else really annoyed when Anderson Cooper said on TV, and thank God that everyone in the business district just happens to not be here at nighttime, because no one works late at night. No one happens to work late at night in these buildings here. Thank God this entire 3 block radius is just completely empty, and there's no one in here whatsoever. It's like. Okay, all right.
Well, look how huge the shockwaves are that Doomsday is causing.
Yeah, Doomsday he set off one of those shockwaves while he was standing on top of LexCorp, and you see all the buildings around it get eviscerated. So presumably they did kill a couple of hundred more people there, but at least that's kind of more on Lex. But you know what?
It wasn't in the first movie either, but that's my point. That's not my point. My point is that in the Doomsday fight, I couldn't see. I couldn't see anything. Yeah. I couldn't see anything. All I could see was weird electronic spikes and gave me a headache.
Or they move too quickly and the camera follows them too quickly, so you're like, that looks like it might be a cool fight scene, but I can't really tell.
Well, see, Doomsday's gimmick is that the more you fight him, the more you hit him, the stronger he gets. So the plan that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman have is just to hit him even more.
Yes.
And every time he gets hit, he glows orange to signify he's absorbing the energy. Yeah. Why did they have the fight in front of orange flames?
Yeah.
It's just a big bundle of orange, and you can't see anything. And let's also talk about just how they desperately try to find Batman something to do in the fight.
Just before we move on. The military guy, when Superman's chucking Doomsday into space, the military guy is like, we already know that every time we hit it, it gets stronger. He's about to throw it into space, so if we just wait a few seconds, it'll be off the planet and we won't have to deal with it. No, you know what? Instead, let's send a nuke to hit it, which we just said will make it stronger, and will also prevent Superman from finishing throwing him into space. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's put a nuke in the clouds where we can send nuclear rain down whenever it starts to rain again, which we know because it just did half an hour ago.
Yeah, let's kill Superman in space with a nuke just so we can kill him again on the ground with Doomsday.
That climax is physically impossible, and I know that you don't want to bring too much science and physics into a superhero movie, but he's thrown Doomsday into space. When there's no gravity, then he can't exactly come back. He'll go in that one direction. So when the nuke hits him, he should just blast even further away from the planet.
Yeah.
How does Doomsday get back down?
Keep flying out.
Yeah.
I know I shouldn't bring physics into this, but the nuke scene is pointless.
That's honestly the least of it. It's because they want to do Dark Knight Returns. This movie, Zack Snyder I really felt like Zack Snyder was tugging off Frank Miller the entire time he was trying to make this movie. He's like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we nuke Superman like he did Dark Knight Returns? And why the... I'm a swear again, guys. I'm sorry. Why would you kill...
Just let it all out.
No, don't, because then I have to edit it out, and it's annoying.
That Ben has to edit it, bleep. So why the flying fish would you kill Superman in the second gosh darn movie? What the hell is wrong with you?
I feel so vindicated because when that second trailer came out and Doomsday showed up, I knew he was going to die because there was only one reason to bring Doomsday into a movie, and people called me stupid. They called me swear words. They called me every name under the sun. They said I was a moron for thinking it would happen.
They have to be to kill Superman. You know they're not going to do that. Oh,
the insults were levied at me personally. They got very personal because I thought it would happen. It's like introducing Bane. That he only exists for one reason: to break Batman's back. If you don't do that, there's no point. Same for Doomsday. And
it's like
I knew it would happen.
Stacy in a bridge. That's only there because she's going to fall off. Like it has to be that way.
In fact, in comparison to the Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's like they only brought in the Goblin at the end to kill Gwen Stacy. They only bring Doomsday at the end of this to kill Superman.
And you know what? The way he died was almost as dumb as how Jonathan Kent died in Man of Steel. First of all, Superman, it's a spear. Throw it.
Throw it.
If you can't throw it, give it to Batman. Okay?
Give it to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, she was holding it with the lasso, so I was like... She's lassoing it, you could freeze breath him, Batman could run up and stab him in the back. There was absolutely no reason for him to do that. I guess he inherited that martyr complex from Jonathan Kent.
May I read some questions from the listeners here? I'd like to answer this question here from Mark Dunville.
Actually, before you do, could I just bring up one last thing? Superman's dead, right? But Superman's dead, but they also killed Clark Kent, because, you know, they had the funeral for Superman
that was
in Metropolis.
Unintentionally funny. That was funny.
Well, they had the double funeral.
That newspaper.
Yeah.
Superman dies the same day Clark
also died that day. That's almost as bad as Bruce Wayne in Dark Knight Rises. It's like Bruce Wayne happened to randomly die in riots. Just as Batman died in a nuke.
Also, why would Clark Kent's death make the paper? He's a nobody. Superman's a somebody, but nobody knows Clark Kent. But here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
They show the dirt floating off the coffin, so immediately they're going back on the whole thing of Superman being killed, which makes it even dumber as to why they did it in the first place. But okay, so you're going to bring Superman back. You can't bring Clark Kent back, though. Like, so even if Superman comes back, he can't just walk back into the Daily Planet and go, hey, boss, ready to get to work. He'd be like, didn't you die? He could never take up his life as Clark Kent again.
So you just wasted a whole dynamic that I thought was working in this movie for when they used it. I really like the dynamic between Clark and Perry White. I thought Lawrence Fishburne's Perry White was great. He's like,
I thought he was okay, but he's an entirely different character to how he was in Man of Steel. He's pretty much he's an entirely different person.
He's comic relief, pretty much, isn't he? His job is comic relief and to say ironic things. Like, what was click his heels and go back to Kansas?
I liked it.
Did you take that listener question?
Yeah, here. The listener question here is from Mark Dunville. He says, how did you feel when Lex fit that guy Candy? Because I have no idea how to feel. So,
I think that was product placement, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh, yeah.
Probably.
A 30-second scene about Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, he's like, it's cherry. That cherry goodness. That
scene when Lois Lane was in the bath and the camera deliberately focuses on the shampoo products behind her.
Olay.
It's like clearly product placement.
I use Olay soap. Oh my god. Yeah, just it's.
Tell you what,
very
Zack Snyder did a
soap,
really good job of hiding her nipples, though. There was many moments where you're like, "Whoa, that's almost." But yeah,
when we get the R-rated, because like I was telling to my friend, I was like, "Yeah, when Lois is in the tub, they legit like show the entire boob except for the nipple." So like, I think that in the R-rated cut, we're just gonna see her tits when they fall out.
Well,
I can't comprehend.
It's so close, but it was the same with Zod. Like when Lex is dragging Zod into the pool, it's like his arm is just covering his junk, like just barely, and I'm like, wow, man,
you almost pretty close see Zod's baby maker, the thing Zod never used. You almost see it.
I cannot comprehend a 30-minute longer version with the R-rated cut. I don't think I could sit through it.
No, but it'll be like, I think it'll add to it.
There's this stupid meme photo going around online saying if The Dark Knight was released today, it would get a 30 on Rotten Tomatoes, and people would hate it because it's too dark. And I think that's not
why this movie sucks. That's not why the movie doesn't suck because it's dark.
Because when you two were talking about The Dark Knight,
it's a terrible story. That's why.
When you two were talking about The Dark Knight a few months ago, there was one scene that you didn't mention, but I'm not blaming or anything. But there's the scene where the Joker is talking to that prison guard, and he's talking about why he uses a knife.
Oh yeah,
that's probably one of the darkest. That's one of the darkest scenes in the entire comic book genre, I think. And that doesn't need to be R-rated. That's really pushing a 12A. That is a dark moment. I don't see how this movie can benefit from an R rating because its themes aren't going to be mature and adult. It's just going to be more excessive violence, and I just think that's inappropriate.
I was about to say I would like to see some of the more graphic, but I think that nightmare sequence would be a little longer. I think we would get some. I don't know. I think Zack Snyder works best with the R-rated genre. I do really enjoy Man of Steel. I also, because I saw the extended 3-hour cut of Watchmen that was the first time I ever saw Watchmen, and I really enjoyed that one. So I don't know. I think that Snyder works best with the R-rated the R rating. So I still want to see his cut. It may not be better, but I think there'll be some things. Maybe the editing will be a little cleaner. I don't know. This movie got edited.
What other plot elements and subplots are going to be in there? This movie's already just broken.
I don't think things will be added. I think scenes will be able to play out a lot more because the editing. This movie beats Fantastic Four for moments for record number of blacking out to the next scene. It's
far worse. The editing's far worse than Fantastic Four.
The structures and
how's that bit? It's like, see, here's the thing. Like on the editing, is like, I think Zack Snyder. I don't believe he learnt anything from Man of Steel. I think he thinks he did. Like he mentions like all those times that there's uninhabited areas because he's like, oh, people didn't like that. But see, like, he's like, oh, people didn't like all the flashbacks in Man of Steel. So he didn't have flashbacks here, but he had 20 different dream sequences. See, he doesn't really understand what people's problems. People's problems with the flashbacks in Man of Steel were not that they were flashbacks. It's that it broke up the flow of the story. So you're doing exactly the same thing with dream sequences. 1 minute, Superman is talking to Lois. The next minute, he's up in the Himalayas talking to the ghost of his dead father. Was that even a dream? Yeah. I don't know.
What was that?
What was that?
I got to make Spider-Man 2 flashbacks. Like when he's talking to his dad at the grave in the deleted scene. That's my first thought was, oh no. I'm like, oh come on. I was so done with the movie.
First thing I thought was, whose dream is this now? Is it Batman's dream? Is it Superman's dream? We don't even know. Did it really happen? Is Superman psychotic?
Did you need the weird jump scare, horrible CG man bat that jumped out of Martha Kent's grave? No, you didn't need that either. That was pointless as well.
And you know what? The structure coming through a portal that would have worked if that wasn't a dream, but that was also a dream. It was a dream in a dream.
And the Flash looked terrible. It was just this weird, loud, white, barely comprehensible CG mess that did not work.
That was first time I saw it. That was the moment that it kind of broke me. Like, because up until that point, I was still holding out hope that it was going to be good, but at that point, I gave up. And I was just like, what is happening?
When
I saw that movie again, because I saw it on my own at the midnight showing, then I saw it again with my friends yesterday, and all my friends said that. At that moment, they're all like, what is going on?
So it's foreshadowing about Darkseid and everything with Justice League, and it's implied that Lex Luthor also knows about Darkseid. But if that's the case, he thinks, oh, the world's going to be destroyed by this alien threat. Why does his plan revolve around killing the one person capable of combating such a threat?
Yes.
What is Lex Luthor's endgame?
If they had made it that Lex is like, well, I can't be more powerful than Superman, but if I make a deal with Doomsday, I can be. If he did something like that, that would have made sense, but no. You know.
But the structure and the editing of this movie is so bad that it feels like the first act doesn't start until the 70-minute mark.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just...
The first hour is so
me. It's
boring. It's like, Zack Snyder, why did you rush like the fight scene with Batman v Superman and Doomsday and the Trinity and all that coming together in the last 20 minutes, but then limp along for over an hour for the first lot of the movie? Space it out, you idiot! Space
I
it.
think-
Trey, I
think a
agree
better-
with
I
you.
think-
I
I
agree
think
with
the
you in
best
that the
way-
first 5 minutes are really good. But up until that Senate hearing, nothing happens. There's no plot progression. There's nothing. You could have that opening sequence with the flashback to Metropolis being destroyed and Batman being there, and then cut to the Senate hearing with the suicide bomber, and then the movie is just instantly better because nothing happens for that first hour.
I'm okay with the. I like the first hour. I think I'm not a big fan of the way. I just think I like the Batman setup, the party stuff. But I think that would you guys have been okay? Because this is how I think this is how you handle it. You know, like you have the opening scene of Metropolis. You know, sorry, that's my keys. That after the Bruce Wayne origin thing, where he gets filled up he gets flown up through the well by bats, which I was a big fan of. I really enjoyed that. But then you get the scene of Metropolis. Would you have been okay with them introducing the Justice League through that scene?
Which scene? Sorry.
With the scene when Metropolis is being attacked, would you have been okay with
No.
You don't
Probably,
you don't think
well,
so?
That would have made more sense.
Not to open the movie.
like having the Flash save people, or like say have like rubble fall on somebody, and then the
audience would always have that thought in the back of their head saying Batman and Superman are fighting. Where's everyone else? You just have that other distraction for the audience saying, isn't there the whole other stories happening?
Well, they don't know. I guess the heroes wouldn't know that Batman and Superman are fighting because that's not something that's public. They know that Doomsday's.
No, but the audience know. So it's just an extra weight that wouldn't be needed. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe retroactively do it.
Trey, I think if instead of instead of Wonder Woman watching the trailers from the other things, if instead of seeing Flash stop a mugging, if it had been footage from Metropolis being destroyed where you see he zips in, saves someone from falling rubble, zips away, and same thing with Aquaman,
say a baby
he
carriage,
does something with the world engine.
Okay.
So
here's what you do. You
have
have a baby carriage that's and you see a rock or something's gonna fall in it, and there's a baby in there, and then a shriek flies by, and then the baby carriage is empty, and that's your Flash file. And that way, you don't necessarily have to see the Flash in action, but you know something's there.
Yeah, so there were others there helping
but then you have
Metropolis and all that, yeah.
But then you have the same issue you were talking about earlier, saying, when Doomsday shows up, where's Flash? Where's Aquaman?
I wasn't worried about that, because I don't know, this threat felt very... I don't know, I didn't have that same complex of... Because the Marvel movies have taught me to stop worrying about where all the heroes are when something goes down in the world, because... realistically, every movie can't be a Justice League movie. I don't know. I just that's not something that really bothers me in movies.
Look,
and plus, the general audience doesn't really care about that kind of stuff, anyways. But that's whatever.
But see, this is what's weird is DC and Marvel as well are struggling with how to balance that out. But it's not that difficult because they've done it in the comics for years. What they do is that heroes are matched up with villains that are roughly their power level. Like Batman and Joker are roughly the same power level, give or take. But you don't put General Zod against Batman or Darkseid against Batman. Yes, I know he did kill him in the comics. He shot him with a gun. Anyone could do that. That doesn't make him more powerful than Darkseid. So it's in the movies, just pair up the hero with villains roughly their size, make it a dispute that's roughly a size that they could handle. So that way it makes sense that other characters don't show up. But
maybe don't have the whole world end in every movie at the end of every movie. Maybe not have the whole world end.
Well, I'm wondering if maybe that's the reason they killed off Superman as well, so that when they have Wonder Woman or Flash, those movies, if Flash gets in trouble, if Superman was alive, everyone would be like, well, Superman will show up and save him. But now that he's dead, they've got that excuse. But
point,
it sucks.
I always thought that these origins movies. I feel like Justice League is going to follow directly after this movie. I always felt like the origin movies that we're going to be origin quote unquote the solo films, because we have roughly 20 years, at least in terms of Batman's time, 20 years before Superman even shows up. I feel like these heroes. The best way to do this is to have these heroes all be here before Superman even shows up. Have Superman be the last one. Have Superman be the final step before the Justice League is formed. I feel like it'd be weird to have the Justice League now show up because of Superman that's here. I don't know. That's always bothered me.
But I don't see how Zack Snyder would work with a Justice League movie, because in the final battle with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman fighting Doomsday, there's no cooperation. They never talk to each other. They don't plan. They don't coordinate.
Right.
There's no sense of these people becoming a unit to fight against a common cause.
Shelby, there was a great quip when he asked if she was with him. I thought he was with you. That was a. God, that was.
Oh, okay. So,
crap.
but when they do come together with the lasso and the gas grenade and the spirit, it just feels like a massive coincidence. Like, oh, we got lucky because we just happened to do it at the same time. I don't think Superman and Wonder Woman ever exchange any dialogue with each other.
He should be like, who the hell are you? He's never seen her before. He just goes, is she with you? No, I thought she was with you. He should be like, what the hell? He's like...
That'd be my reaction. Be like, who's this? There's more of us? Yeah, like that should have been the first question of like, if there's a fast guy around this here somewhere, there's a robot around here maybe, a guy in the water that could help to start with the army of sharks. I don't know.
Going back to the Batman Superman fight, you know what annoys the hell out of me is like, there's so many questions looming over your head during that fight that stop you from enjoying it. Like, Martha Kent's off there, about to be flamethrowered to death. And you're saying, like, if Batman would have just listened to him for 5 seconds, he could have explained what was going on, and the fight would never have even happened. Less than 5
sticky
seconds.
note. Oh my
and there's
God.
multiple times in that fight where when, like, the gas wears off and, like, Batman punches him and his hand sort of crunches on Batman's face, he has a chance there where he could just be like, okay, now we can talk. It's just, so I found like I couldn't even enjoy that fight scene because
I thought that was a
funny
bit
about just logic and common sense throughout the whole
There's
thing.
no sense of escalation.
When not SpongeBob, excuse me, sorry. when Ben Affleck punches Superman in the face and like it stopped working and like he puts a hand like, hey man, be cool. I liked that before he chucked him through a building. Yeah, that was a nice.
But there's no sense of escalation because the only scene between those two beforehand as Batman and Superman is when he crashes the Batmobile for absolutely no reason and then just says the Bat is dead, even though we don't know why. Why does Superman hate Batman and want him to stop?
Because he's being too brutal.
He doesn't like that he's branding people, and I don't like
that
either.
Like,
but
I
he
love
cared
because
for
he's
the
a
last 20
vigilante,
years. Why should he suddenly care now? What a lucky coincidence that he stopped him from getting the kryptonite then too.
This is me. If Batman didn't kill in this movie, I would be 100% on board with this Batman. It's the fact that Snyder feels like it's so cool. Okay, so Batman blows up this car, right? And then he grabs a car full of like 4 or 5 guys, and then he gets another car full of another 4 or 5 guys, and uses it as a flipping battery ram.
Yeah.
To take out like 8 other cars with 4 or 5 guys, as that other car is tumbling around, turning them into soup, and then he takes that car and flips it onto another car.
Yeah.
I don't think the physics check out there.
I remember when he rams that car and it lands on its roof.
physics.
I'm like, when he rammed the car and it lands on its roof, I was like, they could be all right. No, he hooks it with a rope and then swings it around and smashes it into another. And I'm like, well, now they're definitely dead.
In that sequence, I think that the Batmobile is one of the coolest vehicles we've seen, like in a comic book movie. But Zack Snyder cannot direct vehicle chases to save his life.
You know what?
That sequence is a mess.
In that chase scene as well, he's chasing the truck. There's a couple cars going after him. And then, as he's chasing after the main truck, a truckload of petrol, which a guy that seemingly has nothing to do with anything, a trucker just working the night shift, drives out. He's just about to go on the road. Batman rams one of the henchman cars. They go careening out, hit the truck. It explodes in a ball of gasoline, presumably killing that innocent truck driver who was just trying to.
And Batman
do his
just
job.
Batman just drives through, like.
So apart from the 55 other people that he killed in that movie, he killed just an innocent guy who just happened to get in the way right there.
And I think there is a way to do that. Okay, now Zack Snyder is nowhere near talented enough. Not many directors can be talented enough to pull that off. Maybe Nolan, because he's that Batman killed before. But there is a way to have a Batman that kills seem appropriate. It's called Thomas Wayne's Batman. It's called an alternate universe Batman. Yeah. It's called Flashpoint Batman. Bruce Wayne has one. Hello. Sorry, I got really loud all of a sudden. Okay, it got really loud all of a sudden. It's called Batman's One Rule. He literally says in The Dark Knight, I have one rule. And you're right about the whole Joker mechanic. It's like, my thing is like, Batman to me is very close and dear to my heart. Growing up, I had 3 things that I cared about, and that was Star Wars, Batman, and Harry Potter. All right, and they got Star Wars right again. They messed up a bit, but they got Star Wars right again. You don't mess with my Batman. Batman has one. Snyder, we gave you $250 million and 80 years of comics. How do you mess that up?
Yeah.
How do you mess this up?
You know why? Because
I don't agree that they should
leading up to this movie as well, lots of people like on the internet are like, come on, it's going to be great. It's Batman and Superman. How can you mess that up? He messed it up.
That's what I was thinking.
It takes talent to mess that up.
The blind defensiveness of this movie has just been like when the reviews first came in.
Yeah.
I remember when Deadpool came out, and then the first 3 or 4 reviews on Rotten Tomatoes were positive. So people were saying that means the movie's going to be great. Those exact same people are saying, "Oh, well, reviews don't matter. Like reviews don't get critics. Nobody cares. Just that doesn't mean the movie's going to be." It's so hypocritical, and you get these people who haven't even seen the movie just blindly defending it. If you enjoy it, that's absolutely fine. But people threaten critics. They just get absolutely insane with it, and I don't think even the filmmakers would want people to just treat their movie like some sort of weapon in this egotism war.
I'm getting really sick of people saying screw the critics, because I think there are some critics out there that are very niche in how they watch the movies, and they watch the movie expecting it to be bad. I know parents that go into superhero movies expect them to be bad because they don't like the genre. That's fine. But most critics that go in to watch these movies don't want them to be bad. They go in and just watch them and judge them as a movie. Most critics that go in there, that go and see this movie, are like, okay, let's see if the movie's good. And if it's not, they're going to be honest and do their job. If the collective amount of critics, if 7 out of 10 critics think this movie sucks, that's their opinion. That's not your problem. That's what they think. Oh my god!
Yeah, and you get all these people because the movie, I think there are some aspects that I guess objectively broken about the movie. But if you enjoy it, that's absolutely fine. But when you just get these people saying critics don't matter, they hate comic book movies, they hate Zack Snyder, even though movies like 300 got positive reviews. You get Ant-Man and Deadpool, which are very recent examples that were really well received by critics. It's not the critics who have their own agenda.
Yeah, no.
There's a provable track record.
Look, as a comic book fan, I understand the desire for it to be good. We all want it to be good. But if it's not good, don't try to polish that turd and make it good, because you're just encouraging them to further ruin our movies.
If you like the movie, though, Bandit. Now, Bandit, if you do like the movie, guys, if you like the movie, that's fine. I'm not saying that you can't like this movie. Bandit might say that because he's very strong about his opinions. You've had our people conversation before. All film is subjective, and I do believe that, and I will continue to believe that. If you like this movie, that's fine. However, can you at least acknowledge that this movie does have some problems, fundamentally things that are wrong with this movie?
Yeah.
I don't like if you like Transformers 4, that's great. If you like Phantom Menace, that's awesome. If you like Attack of the Clones, goodbye. You can like this movie though. We're not saying you can't like this movie. We're just saying that this movie sucks. That's all we're saying.
Let me now.
And if you like it, you're a terrible person.
Thank you.
Look, now that we're well and truly into the spoilers, we're deep in the spoilers. Let me explain to you why I truly believe this is the worst film ever put on screen ever. Because
okay.
I don't know. I've seen London Has Fallen.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. But this is a whole new level because it ruins so much more than just this movie. Like Fantastic Four, bad movie, but we always know we can get more Fantastic Four later. Same with like Superman Returns was terrible. We always knew we were going to get another Superman. Batman might have a few turkeys here and there, but we always get another Batman. But we will never again get the story of Batman versus Superman in live action again. They're never going to do it. Or if they do it again, it won't be till like 20, 30 years down the track. So this was pretty much one and only chance to do this story and tell it right, and they ruined it. It's ruined forever now. We will never see a good version of Batman versus Superman in live action. Not for at least 30 years.
We will get
They
we will get a
reboot
movie.
It. They can't reboot it and do that story again.
I'm not saying. Trilby, please stand in. I'm not saying that we won't get a reboot.
No, Bandit's right.
I'm not saying that we can get a reboot. That they have to reboot it. You're saying that we will never get a movie where Batman and Superman fight again. I don't think that's true. It may not be called Batman v Superman.
It won't happen.
That's
why this is the worst movie ever made. It's not just bad in itself, but it's hurt the franchise for
if they do Superman,
Martha, that should end all fights.
This should annoy Super. This is what our audience is. If they do Superman Red Sun in like 10 years, then we'll get another Batman Superman fight. If they do what was that one? Shoot. If they do Kingdom Come, we'll get a Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman fight. You know, like there are different stories.
They'll never do it.
Hell,
they can't do it. They can't make another movie and go, "Oh, this is Batman versus Superman." Well, they're like, "Well, we did that."
Marketing wise, no, it's not going to be. It's not going to be called Batman Superman, no, but we're going to get movies where they fight again. That's going to happen again.
Yeah, there might be a squabble here or there, but we're never going to get a story based around Batman versus Superman like this was supposed to be. It's ruined forever.
At least not for a while.
Yeah.
At least a couple of decades.
Maybe like our grandchildren.
We're not going to get a movie about. We're not going to get a movie about. We're not going to get a movie about Ultron for a long time. We're not going to get a movie about the Mandarin with fighting Iron Man for a long time. Right, that doesn't mean that
that's true. But Batman versus Superman is more important than any of them. Okay,
and we're going to see them. And we're going to see them fight again in later movies. That's going to happen.
It may not be. It's ruining a story that we'll never get to see again. And
that's
sucks.
Not true, though. We're going to get it again.
We're just going around
one of the best comic book movies of all time.
Thank you, Joey.
That's why it's the worst movie.
I agree with Bandit, but we're going in circles here.
Joey?
Can I say something else? Going back to the Ghost of Jonathan Kent scene, like I think that's a good example of how Zack Snyder thinks he's smart and he tries to do this Nolan-style dialogue. But when you really think about it, it doesn't work. Okay, so let's take that scene. He's talking to his ghost dad, and his ghost dad is telling him this story about.
He's talking to Bill Cosby. Yeah.
I was going to say Bill Cosby, ghost dad. Yep.
Have some water. Yeah.
You look like you have a cold. Here, drink this. But he's telling him this story about how the farm was almost flooded, and they managed to like divert this river to like save their farm. But then he tells a story about like his mom made him a cake and he's like, yeah, you saved the farm. But then later on they found out that they diverted the water away and it went into this paddock and drowned all these horses. So he's basically saying, I thought I did a good thing in saving my farm, but I actually created all this havoc elsewhere. So essentially what he's saying to Superman, when you really think about it, he's like, yeah, you're trying to do a good thing, but you're essentially doing more harm than good. So screw you, son. You're a terrible person.
It's something that should
stop.
It's something that should be said.
That's basically what he's saying. That's a horrible thing.
It should be said to Batman.
Horrible.
That's something you say to Batman. Like if Batman were to have that's something that's a story Alfred tells Batman, because it's like, look what you're doing. You think you're doing good, but you're doing something worse. You're creating a bigger thing out of nothing. Like you're making something worse than it is. That's something you tell Batman.
But it's symbolic and it means stuff. To quote nostalgic.
And then no one's just like,
like
my name off
Lex Luthor, it's like Lex Luthor is giving the speech about Prometheus, and then later on he has Zod. And he's like dripping the blood, and he's like, you flew too close to the sun. And it's like, well, flying too close to the sun, that's Pegasus. You understand, Pegasus and Prometheus are different ones. Lex, that's not the same Greek mythology. They're both Greek mythology.
It doesn't matter. Look at Zod's
but they mean
penis.
completely different things. Make up your mind, Zack
How
Snyder.
does Zod's corpse and human blood create Doomsday?
That was one of the questions that someone asked on Facebook.
How does that happen?
How does he even access that? He uses Zod's fingerprints to open the door, but that's the same scout ship as in Man of Steel. Lois went in there, and that machine attacked her because it recognized she wasn't human. Why didn't it attack Lex? It's fooled by fingerprints? Can't it see?
I guess.
It's ridiculous.
But building upon Bandit's point of saying like this movie is just even more worse than you think it is because it's basically ruined the future of its own universe. We've got like 5 or 6 movies in the pipeline for the DC cinematic universe, and I'm just thinking that this is going to be fascinating to see unfold over the next few weeks, because the movie is going to make so much money opening weekend, because it's going to have that blind hype, people who are going to be excited for it no matter what. It was going to break records, it's going to do well, but over the next weekend, like few weekends, I think this box office is going to plummet. I think that you're going to hear news of major firings, reshoots of Wonder Woman, of Suicide Squad, movie delays for Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman, Justice League. I think Zack Snyder's going to be fired.
I've got a question.
I think Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman are mostly done, aren't they?
Yeah, I have a question for the both of you.
You've got to reshoot, maybe. I think you've got to reshoot.
Yeah. I have a question for both of you. Will Batman kill in Suicide Squad?
Well, he has the track record for it.
Was he supposed to kill in Suicide Squad, and will he now that the backlash has come out against that?
That's the problem, isn't it? Like we brought up, is like, if you're going to have him killing in Suicide Squad, then how are you going to explain him not killing Joker?
Yeah, exactly. That's my problem. Like, because if Suicide Squad it's probably set before Dawn of Justice, I would presume, because Batman is still kind of in the... Well, to be fair, Batman's in the game.
Can't wait to see what kind of stupid excuse they come up to justify that, or if they don't even bother to justify it.
And that's the big issue with this whole enterprise. Because building a cinematic universe... Like, anyone other than Zack Snyder, just building a cinematic universe on Batman v Superman is akin to the travel industry saying we need more hydrogen-fueled airships after the Hindenburg. It's just provably a terrible plan with precedent for it. I think over the next few weeks you're going to hear that.
It's like lighting a match after a bunch of people fart in the room. It's like, no, you're just going to make it worse. Yeah.
But Trilby, to answer your question, Trilby, because you were saying, like, how will this affect, creative, what's going to happen behind the camera with the creative team? I think Zack Snyder's definitely not directing Justice League, and I reckon they're probably going to hire George Miller, because he was originally going to do Justice League Mortal back in the early 2000s, and they were rumored to put him onto another Superman movie in the future.
Yeah.
So I think Zack Snyder's gone. They're going to move George Miller forward to Justice League, and then hopefully we can get a good movie. George Miller is perfect for Justice League because, like Mad Max Fury Road, he's shown that he can use gritty, he can use real, he can have that tactile world, but it's still bright, it's still colourful, it's still adventurous, and that's exactly what we need for Justice League.
Yes, but
Zack Snyder out, George Miller in. That's what I want to see.
I have my trepidations. Yes. Thank you. I have my trepidations with George Miller. First of all, that rumor was never fully true. That was a comment one person made because one person heard something that one person heard. That John Schmidt made the comment on a podcast once that he had heard that someone would like George Miller to make the movie, and that was a Warner Brothers executive, but he was never talked to about it. That's whatever.
George Miller works for Warner Brothers, so it's not difficult for them.
And he was attached to Justice League Dark years ago.
It's not a big stretch for him to be put in.
That was my main thing was like he was never assigned he was never in talks to do Man of Steel 2. That was never a thing. However,
I think now it will be. I think considering the response,
he would be good. However, he's never been known to be. I'm gonna get a lot of crap for this, but he's never been, just like Zack Snyder. And I'm not. Here I go. He's not from what I've seen. He's not the best storyteller. He is a fantastic
Witness him.
Judas. He is probably one of the best filmmakers out there right now. He makes some of the best movies I've seen here.
I do, but I don't think it's a problem, because the problem with Man of Steel and with this was too much story. So getting a more simplified, streamlined story is exactly what this franchise needs at this point.
I don't think it's too much story. I don't think it's too much story. I think it's not the best script. I think
my prediction over the next few weeks, because I've got to head off soon, unfortunately, but my prediction over the next few weeks is that Justice League Part 1 is meant to start filming next month. What's going to happen is that in face of all of this backlash and criticism against Batman v Superman, is that Zack Snyder will make a statement saying, I think I'm going to give the reins to somebody else, aka he's been fired. And what's going to happen is that because Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad are basically done. They're in the can, the point of no return. They're going to say, okay, Justice League Part 1 and 2, going to be one movie, major rewrites. We're going to delay it by like an entire year. We're going to cancel Flash, Aquaman, Shazam, Cyborg, Green Lantern, and just finish the story in one Justice League movie. Because this is, like I said, this is a broken foundation. We're going to be dealing with an Amazing Spider-Man 2 situation. This movie will make $1 billion.
Wow. You think by 2017 it's all over then?
At least for this creative team.
Ooh. You think this is all said and done in 4 years? I
see no alternative.
As much as I hated this movie, I hope that doesn't happen. I don't want them to like scratch it and start over again. I just want them to replace the
happened with the Amazing
team.
Spider-Man. There is precedent for this because
Well,
this movie is going to make $1 billion, but the word of mouth, the critical consensus, it's newsworthy that this is a bad movie.
Spider-Man was one character. Spider-Man was just one character. It's not like this like Zack Snyder's just making Superman movies until they have to redo Superman. This is an entire universe. And granted, the setup was pretty bad, but you know, some of the Phase 1 Marvel movies, I'm not a big fan of. You know, Bandit hates the Incredible Hulk. I'm not a big fan of Iron Man 2, which was essentially a kind of better version of this movie. But I think like you give like James Wan is doing Aquaman, and James Wan I think is a talented filmmaker, and he's doing Aquaman. You know, I have faith in the people that are doing Flash. You know, I think I have faith in Patty Jenkins as Wonder Woman. I don't think. As long as Zack Snyder's not behind the helm, there is a way to salvage what was established here. Choby's thinking like the government in this movie. We should just nuke it. It's over. Nuke it. It's all said and done.
No, I'm just thinking they need to quit while they're behind because the consensus here is just so it's against them.
Suicide Squad can turn this around because. The problem here is not the fact that they failed to set. The problem here is Zack Snyder. Let's be completely honest here. The problem here is Zack Snyder. He really is. And that's nothing against Zack Snyder.
That's the problem.
He's a great filmmaker, but he is I almost swore again. He is a crappy storyteller.
Yeah, like all the actors in the various parts are good, but they're being forced to play these idiotic characters. So if we kept them but got rid of Zack Snyder and his vision and replaced it with someone better, then I think it could be salvaged. And I don't
remember Justice League starts filming next month.
Well, let's get a new director then. Just do what they do with Ant-Man, right? You fire Zack Snyder, you push
you're
back
going to need rewrites. Because that director's going to look at... That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I said.
No, but you said to end it after Justice League, which I don't think they should do. I think they should keep the other
as well as cancelling the solo films. As in, they put everyone like Flash, Aquaman, and everyone into Justice League because they're already set up in the universe. They've done this so backwards, and Zack Snyder, I feel like he was dared by Christopher Nolan. Like, hey, I'll give you $50 if you screw up this entire universe. Make it 100.
Hey, $2,000. $2,000 says Batman kills in the next movie. You're on.
Well, guys, remember before this movie came out, there was this rumor, which now has been pretty much proven true, that Warner Bros. Was really worried about how it was going to be received. The rumor was that they were worried that there's certain things
we got a lot of crap for that.
That there's certain things that are good, like Ben Affleck's Batman. There's other things that are terrible. So according to that rumor, which so far has been proved true, their plan is to just go back to focusing on Ben Affleck's Batman.
That doesn't. Just to clarify, I was against that story because it was badly reported at first. There were like no sources for that, so I was poo-pooing that story, but for good reason.
That source, though, Drew McWeeny, has been right about that kind of stuff before. And
I remember terribly wrong before.
But he was right. But I'm adding this to he's like Nostradamus. I'm gonna add this to his record of being correct. Like I remember Ben when we reported that we got a lot of hate for that. We got like comments were just like, "You haven't seen the movie yet. Calm down." And no, he was right, and he was right. You know, everything he reported was correct. I think I have faith in the future of the DC universe, which is why I said I love the Dawn of Justice part of Batman Superman. Too bad it's only like 8 minutes of the movie.
But
so that's why there's a 30-minute cut on Blu-ray, because so much has been cut out of this movie by the studio because they don't like Zack Snyder's movie. It's all making sense.
The reason I bring that up, though, is like out of all the different options they could go after the terrible reception for this, from the critics at least, is like that's the one area I don't want them to go. I don't want them to go back to just Batman. Enough of Batman, okay? You can give Batman a rest for a while. We've had like 6 movies from him or something in the last decade.
I want
them to continue on, but not like stop focusing on Batman all the time.
Okay. Oh, so the truth comes out. No, I'm kidding. I do want to see a Ben Affleck.
There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, but I think if you put, which is why I think Choby's idea is dumb. Sorry, Choby. But I think say you do
I think
Flash,
Choby's partly
Aquaman.
right. I think some movies will get cancelled. We'll get a new creative team, but I don't think they'll just
or at least delayed.
Kill the universe.
I'll tell you what, guys. Green Lantern is screwed, but that's whatever. Let's like Green Lantern is at the very end of this cycle. They are scrapping Green Lantern.
Yeah, can't wait for the Booster Gold movie. Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Sandman. I think they're going to put Justice League in one part now, though. I don't think we're going to have a 2-part movie.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I think I think that, Suicide Squad, I have faith in David Ayer. Bandit, you may not like Fury, but do you think Fury's worse than Dawn of Justice?
No, nothing's worse than Dawn of Justice.
No, I think that once they get out of Zack Snyder's shadow with, Patty Jenkins with Wonder Woman, David Ayer for Suicide Squad, I think we're going to see a much better universe. But because Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is so integral and it's such a big jumping off point, has the damage already been done?
But it's more the execution that's the problem. Now, it's like the Star Wars prequels, essentially. There are elements in there where, like, well, that fits into the universe X, Y, and Z, and it works. It's just how they present that's crap. I almost swore again. So it's like, there are elements, like, say the element of, like, Flash comes to visit Batman, clearly through time travel, clearly by Flashpoint Paradox, that's what they're setting up. That works, and that can be used in a later movie. It's just the fact that it's been used in this weird, out-of-place, edited flashback. What's in the movie isn't the problem. It's how they put it in the movie. Besides Batman killing people. That's crap. That's the worst.
Well, I think, here's the thing, though, because now that Superman's dead, even if they do, no matter how much they want to drastically change Justice League, they're like, let's get everyone in and let's have them be just like the comic book version. But still, Superman's dead, so the first half of your movie is still going to be about having to bring him back to life, which already sucks.
I think he'll be back by the first 10 minutes, because he's already back by the time the credits roll, essentially.
Well,
they instantly cop out.
The movie is going to have to bring him back to life. So
I don't know. I think
we're already only going to get
like
2/3 of a Justice League movie because of that. So thanks, Zack Snyder.
I'm
ruined everything.
That's great. Bandit, I hate this movie. I'm already defending DC again. Look at me. We're already arguing about the next movie.
I'm just thinking that Justice League will be like that Simpsons episode with Poochie. Like, whenever Superman's not on screen, all the other characters are thinking, "Where's Superman?" That's basically going to be Justice League.
I don't get the reference, but it's okay.
I've got a couple last things on. I know you got to go, Trilby, so we'll be quick. But I got a couple last things on my list here we could just blow through. Like one, I've got. Okay. What was Lex's plan with Doomsday? So he makes Doomsday to kill Superman. Let's say he did kill Superman. Then what? You got a monster that's even worse, that's unkillable. Yeah. Was that his plan? Not exactly the smartest human being on the face of the earth.
I think it was set up that Doomsday had some kind of I don't want to say understanding. He had this kind of I don't want to say connection. He and Lex Luthor clearly had some kind of thing there in terms of like
the very first thing he does is try to punch Lex Luthor, and Superman flies out and saves him. I thought he tried
to punch Superman. Oh, okay. I thought he was trying to punch Superman. Right.
Yeah, that's the very first thing he does is try to kill Lex Luthor. So if Superman was Luthor, Lex would have been dead.
Let's hope that Doomsday's mother's name is Martha, so they can stop the fight whenever they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your mum's name is the same as my mum's name? Well, now I'm convinced you're a good guy. I didn't care about you saving people from a flood. That didn't convince me you're a good guy. But that your mum's name is Martha, that's all the proof I need.
If I want to go back to Doomsday, okay, here's my thing on Doomsday. Doomsday, I remember the marketing was my biggest issue. I'm like, he looks terrible. There's no reason he's in the marketing. Why are they going to kill off Superman? What are they doing? But in the slew of crap and garbage and trash, that's honestly the best word I can use to describe this movie is trash. I feel like Doomsday is not the issue with this movie. I actually liked the way they used Doomsday because he might be the most comic accurate thing in this movie is Doomsday. Because Doomsday really is just this force of nature. Well, in terms of not how he looks, no. I mean in terms of how he's used. He is used as this blunt force, this natural quote unquote, this just disaster, just this hurricane used to tear Superman apart and destroy Superman.
That's essentially true. That character exists for one reason only, and that's to kill Superman. But as thin as that character is in the comics, he's still better written than what we got in this.
Oh yes. But I'm saying in comparison to what we've gotten here with the rest of this movie, I thought Doomsday was again a fresh breath of air. I liked the way he looked initially. I honestly think he looks worse when he gets the bumps, quote unquote. Remember about all the rumors?
He looks like the cave troll from Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
and I like the way the cave troll. And I like the way the cave troll looks. I was expecting Legolas to jump through here, man. I was excited. But like I really liked what they were doing with Doomsday. Right up until he killed Superman, I'm like, no, you're doing this wrong.
Like, I knew that Doomsday kills Superman, in the comics, but I did not for a second think that they were going to do that in the movie, because I
knew it from the trailer.
It occurred to me, but I was like, there's no way they'd do that. It'd just be too stupid. They did it.
Yeah.
Idiots. They're complete idiots.
Right,
What
I unfortunately
Snyder
have to
has
go
done more
soon,
damage
so
to
can
the
we
DC
start
universe
get
than this.
summarizing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry
Oh,
about
one
that,
last
but
thing,
it
one
is
last thing.
it's like nearly 2:00 in the morning in the UK.
Okay. Just one last thing I want to say, which is
Okay.
all the stuff about sniveling Lex Luthor saying the dark side's coming. Okay, I don't like that because that adds... Well, I mean, that's fine, but the way they did it, it just adds even more fuel to the fire of people saying the Earth would be better if Superman had never shown up. Because now Darkseid's coming, presumably because of Superman. Is that what he meant? Or was it the boombox with Cyborg? I don't know. But either way, Earth would have been better now without Superman. That's something you should have addressed in this and fixed Zack Snyder, and you didn't. You ruined everything. You suck.
You ruiner.
Okay. You maniac! You screwed it up!
You blew it up.
Damn you!
God damn you, all to hell! DC! Snyder! You done messed up, Snyder.
So that's
all right.
That's my
Wait,
recommendation. I give it 0 out of 10, and
Out
I
of
highly
10,
recommend that unless you're like an insanely massive fan and you just have to see it, don't see it. Don't.
Yeah,
There's
Shelby,
no reason. You don't. Why? There's no
do you
reason you
give it
should
a-
spend your money on it.
What did you say? Sorry.
What do you give it out of 10, Trophy?
I gave it half a star out of 5, so that's like 1 out of 10.
So that's
Because
like-
I like Ben Affleck, I like Jeremy Irons, and I think there are a few awesome like tableaus and nice shots and visuals. But when you add that all up, it's like 10 minutes in a 2.5-hour movie. So
I'd like to see what Bandit thinks in about a month. But that's just
once he's
me.
seen it 10 more times today.
No, just once when he has something. Maybe if he gives it a negative score.
Well,
I
just
Negative
so you
one
know,
after.
my plan is to just move on and try to pretend like it never happened.
It's okay, Bandit. Civil War comes out in like a month. It'll be
My
okay.
thing-
Once this
My
podcast
thing
is
is that
over, as far as I'm concerned, Dawn of Justice is some movie that was going to be released in 2016, but for some reason they cancelled it right before it was released and never saw the light of day.
I've got to go now. My planet needs me.
Okay. All right.
Dawn of Justice? I don't remember that. I can't remember seeing anything by that name.
I think it's good to acknowledge the movie. I think it's good to understand that this, especially if this does end up thriving, that's it's good to know that we came from truly humble beginnings. Like we literally crawled out, like we were like Andrew Dufresne and like Shawshank Redemption. We literally crawled through 2.5 hours of pure crap just to come out clean on the other side.
Yeah.
I think some of it's shot really well. Snyder does do some things great. But even by the end, the movie looks bad by the end. The action's all off. The Batman-Superman fight's far too short with no stakes. The characterization of Batman's all wrong. Even though everyone's great in it, even though I don't like the characterization of the Joker / Lex Luthor, I love Jesse Eisenberg in the movie. I think he's great, like I said he was going to be. But overall, this movie's just a mess. It fails. 4.5 out of 10.
You know what?
That's being generous.
The scene where Batman, like the dream sequence where the bat smashes through Martha's Kent and grabs him, that whole scene is kind of like an accurate portrayal of my whole experience with this movie since it's been released. Like when the goo's coming out and he's touching it, and he's like,
it up nicely.
And he's like, "What is this?" That was like me when I saw all the trailers. I was like, "What is this stuff?" And then the movie came out, and it's just like the bat slamming and grabbing me and going, "Ah!" And then I suddenly wake up and go, "Ah! Ah!" That's my whole experience with this movie, and I'd like to just
you wake up and on your computer it's just like on your file on the computer it's just like a file that says better movies in the future, and you take a picture for Civil War, Rogue One, Suicide Squad, and you're just like, oh thank God, there's hope. Yeah,
but seriously, this was like when I went and left the movie the first time, like the midnight screening. Like it's the first time in my life that a movie has like really truly gutted me to the point of like, because I saw the midnight screening and like, so I'm driving back, it's like 3 a.m. I actually drove around looking for a liquor store so I could drown my sorrows. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God.
I was
so this like, see, for a lot of people that was Phantom Menace. You're calling this the Phantom Menace of this generation, eh?
Menace. It's like,
wow.
I was at midnight screening as well, and the best reaction that the audience had the entire night was for the Lego Batman teaser that played beforehand. And it wasn't the one that went online, it was one with Ray Fiennes as Alfred. He was in the teaser for it, and had like a big conversation with Batman. That audience loved that teaser. So it was a good crowd that. I've not found it online. I've been looking and I can't find it. But they had a great reaction to that teaser. And then once the credits started rolling, we stayed to the very end of the credits to see if there was a post-credit scene. There wasn't, so whatever.
All there was was a picture of a middle finger.
Yeah, you just sensed just everyone in that audience was defeated and they just left in silence. Like, everyone was buzzing after Deadpool. But for Dawn of Justice, everyone just didn't quite know how to quantify it.
The worst thing about this is when the general audience is just like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's just like I saw it Saturday my time at 2:30, and the general audience, usually they'll walk up, like, you'll hear people going like, oh, that was cool, oh, that was crazy, oh, that wasn't it cool when this happened. This one was just like I asked some of the people I saw, I was like, so what did you think about the movie? And they were just like, it was okay. And I was like, wow, that sucks.
It's got to be on CinemaScore, and everything on CinemaScore gets an A.
The Transformers crowd was not a fan. That's terrible. You've messed up when like, seriously, after I saw Age of Extinction, people were just like, oh man, that was cool. Optimus Prime was so cool, but like when the general crowd are just like, I don't know, man.
Actually, I didn't tell you guys this, but But I actually, a few days ago...
He's actually got a noose around his neck right now. He's actually standing on a stool as we speak.
I'm a cat. I've got 9 lives, so I'm down to 8 more now. But
yeah.
I actually asked...
someone said that in the comments.
I actually asked J-Roy if he wanted to come on this podcast as well. He said he can't because he's busy making lots of other Batman v Superman movies. For those that don't know, J-Roy's a YouTuber. He's a good friend of mine. He's a huge DC fanboy, and I know, Jerry, you don't like being called a fanboy, but you tattooed the Justice League on your arm, mate. You're a fanboy.
Oh, God.
I'm a fanboy. Bandy, you're a fanboy.
In retrospect, maybe it's a good thing you couldn't make
word.
it, because he probably would be hunting me down to kill me after all the bagging.
Oh, my God. This podcast would be 8 hours long. How long are we
it's already running way long for me. I really need to get going soon.
Toby, you could have hung up a long...
I could have done, but I want to listen.
I've got listener questions. How long are we going for?
Well, let's finish. Trilby can head off, and you and I, Trey, will just...
I was going to say, I shall abandon ship and just say that Dawn of Justice is a jar of piss. Good night, everybody.
Bye, Trilby. Wait, where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me on my website, www.trilby.com, where you can find my 4,500 comprehensive spoiler-filled review of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And there is also my Twitter at Trilby Reviews, my Facebook at Mr. TARDIS Reviews, and you can find all the fun stuff on there. So thank you for having me, and I'll try and get internet and watch all 13 episodes of Daredevil by next week, because I believe that's the plan.
That is
Martha,
the plan, yes.
Yeah. Bye, Martha. Good to see you.
Where's your other name?
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
For you guys that don't know, on Facebook we have listener questions, in which case, Movie Mania Podcast on Facebook, you guys can search us. We have a segment called Listener Questions, and where the best question that you guys ask will be read on the show. This week we got a lot of Batman v Superman questions. Well, first off, I guess we did a poll on Twitter. Or at least I put a poll out on Twitter, and I said, our feelings on Batman v Superman will be revealed this week. Did you like the movie? And I said yes or no, and 53% said yes. 47% said no. So our audience more or less liked it. It's very mixed. Not surprising.
Yeah.
But yeah, so some of the Facebook questions, let me go back to here and find the page. Alex Zeps asked on Facebook, he says, did you like this version of Superman? I personally thought he was a menace.
Well, I guess we should say, now that we're out of the spoiler section, we'll need to be careful when we're answering Batman v Superman questions, not to give spoilers for those who have skipped ahead.
Of course.
Even though pretty much the whole thing was spoiler talk. But was Superman a menace? I don't think he was a menace, but...
It's boring.
Yeah, even when he was saving people, like when he's dragging the well, there's a montage of scenes where he's like saving different people from different things, and even then, he's got this look on his face like, I'm sad. Leave that for Batman. Okay?
I am Jesus.
So I don't think he was a menace. I just think he was really sad and depressed the whole time. What did you think?
I just think that he had nothing to do in this movie. everything he did had really had no kind of effect. He was just really much everyone's whipping boy this entire movie, which I guess is kind of like how he is in Dark Knight Returns, but his ideologies are still there. They're just kind of molded by the president in the 80s. It's like, but I feel like this Superman, like Henry Cavill is good. I think he was great in Man of Steel before. He was very strong in Silent Type in Man of Steel, but this one is just like he's just
burning
boring.
Effigies of Superman in the streets in this movie.
Yeah,
that's how much everyone hates him.
Yeah.
Apparently, by the end of the movie, without saying what happens, apparently everyone loves him again. Everyone's mourning him. Isn't that weird? The whole world just hated him. They were putting him on trial.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. I
Make
think
up your mind, Zack Snyder.
Really,
does the world love him or not?
He did not know what to do with this movie, but that's what. Well, we just spent a long time talking about that. Okay, let's see. Would Jack Critchley says. Actually, we already answered this question. Zack Snyder, the directing of Justice League. Let's see here. Okay, what superhero outside of DC and Marvel needs their own solo movie? That's a good question.
Comic book character outside of DC and Marvel?
Well, it's just superhero in general, I guess. So we'll go abroad.
I don't know if Conan the Barbarian counts, but I think
does he have any powers or whatever? Yeah, but I'd like to see him done better. Conan the Barbarian. It's either Schwarzenegger or that one from 2011.
Yeah, but him as a comic book character, like done right, I think could be good.
Well, I mean, there were some. I think there's this American cartoon that's done in anime style called Avatar: The Last Airbender. Which I know you've heard of, Last Airbender, and I think Shyamalan just like that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Is that's right up there with Tusk for me, because as someone who grew up, I was there on the first day the show premiered because I thought it looked cool, and I followed the show through its finale for like 3 or 4 years. So to see that just have this giant turd taken on this franchise really hurts. So I think I guess because since they had powers, you can count as a superhero. I would love to see like as a filmmaker, my dream was always to make an Avatar movie, but I'm fine with them getting someone else to do it. I'd love to see kind of a retake on Avatar: The Last Airbender and do it with justice. Because if they did the second season as a movie, that's like your Empire Strikes Back straight up. I'm down for that. But yeah, that's my answer. Yeah. Okay.
What else we got?
Trent Gresham? Oh, Jesus. Trent Grisham, I guess, asks, I was wondering if you thought tone was an issue. I don't mind it being grittier than other hero films. I feel the script was kind of a joke and there was too much lightning.
Yeah, there was a lot of lightning.
There was a lot of lightning, yeah.
There was lightning whenever Batman's standing on something high, there's lightning. Whenever Doomsday is born or does his thing, there's lightning. There was lightning everywhere.
Yeah, every time Doomsday would do this weird explosion thing that's not exploding, it's in the trailer. You couldn't see anything because it doesn't really matter.
Even when Batman turns on the bat signal, there's like all these sparks fly out.
I don't know. The movie's shot horribly, but I mean, for certain scenes are shot like awful. That whole third act is just the worst. But do you think the tone was an issue? Do you think the tone is an issue?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Everything was an issue in this movie.
I don't think that the issue, like I said before, the issue is not the tone. The issue is Zack Snyder. I think because Dark. Yeah, well, that's
it's
true.
The same thing essentially.
Well, no, because if you got a different director to do it, the tone doesn't matter. The tone is the reason this movie sucks is not because it's dark. That's not the reason. The reason this movie sucks is because Zack Snyder is not a good storyteller. So like that's my thing. Like Winter Soldier is a dark movie. Dark Knight is essentially the darkest. Is a dark movie, like Toby was saying before. That's not the reason this movie's bad. So I don't think the tone was the issue.
And it was dark. It was literally very dark too, especially like almost the whole second half of the movie happens at nighttime. And I found myself thinking, I was like, when do we get to see daylight again?
Yeah, and without giving any spoilers,
it's like
when someone when there's like you just see people in hats. But there's like when there's a scene where someone's looking down a building and all we see is their eyes as they're looking down, and the camera's shaking as it zooms in to see this character, and then like the camera's this weird swooping over shot as someone else is standing over them, but the camera's like shaking as that person goes in to punch them. It's like, what are you doing? What is Zack Snyder attempting to do there? Because like all I could tell was like, was he trying to look cool? Because all it did to give me his headache and make me feel nauseous. But yeah, the tone was not an issue. Let's see. We answered your question. We answered that question.
Can I just say to all of the Batman v Superman fans, look, I'm not personally attacking you. I'm really sorry. I know it's going to make you angry, me hating on it so much, but like, this is why I didn't put a proper review up on my YouTube channel. This is why I'm not going to do another video about it, because I know I have nothing positive to say about it. So I just... So just bear that in mind. And I know everyone's going to call me a hater, and I am a hater because I'm hating on it. But considering how disappointed I was after seeing this movie, I don't want other people to have to feel that kind of sadness as a fan as I felt walking out. So I'm not hating on it because I want other people to feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't. I wouldn't wish that on anyone.
If people want to know what Bandit thinks this movie should have been, then go to the video that made me a Bandit Incorporated fan. Go to the video that made me find you, Bandit Incorporated, and that is how Batman and Superman, or Batman v Superman should be, or should have been about, or whatever, should be about. He made it like what, 3-4 years ago, and it's really well done. And some of it carries over, and it's the video that led me find you. So honestly, it's the best. It's a storyline that I'm just like, maybe if they just would have done this or this or this, it carries over a lot. It makes things smooth a lot easier. You introduce Aquaman a lot easier. You introduce Wonder Woman a lot more easy. There are different ways to do it, but that's whatever.
Could I just say, since you brought up that,
of course,
the video, my idea in that, which I really think they should have used, was that in Man of Steel with the Phantom Zone, they've got the Phantom Zone, so they've already established that in this universe there's other dimensions and you can open up portals to them. So my idea was that when he sent the World Engine back into the Phantom Zone, that would have inadvertently opened up tears to other dimensions. So like Wonder Woman's world is apparently on an island, so they could make it that there's actually a rip portal on an island that leads to her other dimension, or there's a portal at the bottom of the ocean that leads to Aquaman's dimension. So they're not exactly in different places on the Earth, they're just from different dimensions, and I think that's a much better way of sort of bringing them all together. It's like, so where was Wonder Woman, where was Aquaman? Well, only after what happened in Man of Steel could they get access to Earth, and now they all show up and like, what did you guys do, sort of thing. So like, I really wish they had used that. Would have been much better, but I don't know. It's just...
Okay, I think how long have we been going for? Like what, 2 hours, 20 minutes, or something like that? So this will be the final. This will be the final question here, because I think this is actually a good discussion. Starheart Fallen Star, once again, lovely name. Ask, what should we use to judge if a hero should or should not kill in a movie?
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought about this when I read it earlier, and I think a great way to judge it is, does that go against what the character believes in or should believe in? If you like the reason. Okay, I'm not going to give spoilers, but Batman does kill in this movie. How many people did you say, Bandit? How many people did Batman kill?
55,
like what, 55?
55
people.
But people
killed in
see
this
that
movie.
in the trailer. You see him blowing up cars with people in them. So
yeah, and so and that's 55, like not including the nightmare sequence or whatever, which is not a spoiler. That's the name of the sequence, not including Mad Max Batman. But
how awkward was it to see, even in a dream sequence, Mad Max Batman with a machine gun gunning people down?
I liked it.
As
was
a
all done
Batman
in one
fan,
take.
I was like, that's so strange to even see. But sorry,
it was all
continue.
it looked great, but yeah, it was off. And again, Batman does not kill. All that did was make me even more angry. My thing is like, if Batman doesn't kill, if that has been established for 80 years of comic books, that's Batman's one rule. Why do you have Batman kill in this movie? That's not what you're supposed to do. Superman has never had that thing. Superman is never really. He's not a killer, but he's never been against killing. It's not like the Avengers where they just kill everybody in the scene and everyone laughs about it. This is like, people do not kill in this universe, or Batman does not kill in this universe. So, in terms of what should establish what people should and should not do in terms of killing, it's like if in Daredevil they suddenly decided that Daredevil was just a killer now. Screw it, Daredevil's a killer. No, because you spend literally an entire season or 2 seasons debating whether or not he should kill that guy, and then deciding not to kill that guy. Like there is a way. Just look at what the character was beforehand.
Yeah.
Look at what has been established by this hero.
Superman will kill. He did kill at one time a character called Mr. Mizpidlik or whatever. He's like a 5th dimensional being, and his reasoning is like when he sends him to the other dimension, he cuts the portal off halfway, so he basically gets cut in half. And Superman's like, well, I had to do it because he's just so powerful and so dangerous. I can't risk him coming into Earth and causing all these problems. And it really affects him for a long time. He's in mourning over what he did. So, like, when should a character kill? Well, you can have him kill, but you need to... Characters can kill whenever, even if they have a no-killing rule, but you have to handle it right. See, Batman in this, at no point is there any reason given as to why he's completely thrown away all of his moral compass.
And
like,
even
Christian Bale's Batman, like, it's explained that the reason he doesn't kill is because in his mind, that's the difference between him and the criminals he goes up against. That's how he makes the separation of the line that he doesn't cross.
Exactly.
If this Batman doesn't have that line, then you need to explain how that's affected him. And they didn't bother doing that.
All you have to like even if you want to have Batman pull a gun on somebody, have it be a moment where right after he does, he throws it on the ground. He's just like, you know what, never again. Like, cause that's what I forgot what that happened in. I don't know if it was Dark Knight Returns or Batman Beyond, but either way, he pulled a gun on somebody, and then like Batman just like felt disgusted afterwards, have him feel terrible about it. Don't just have him be like, you know what, no, gun down these guys, flip a car. Oh, sorry, spoilers. He kills a lot of people.
There's a bit in Dark Knight Returns where he uses a gun to trigger a bomb that's on a wall so he can jump through the wall and escape the cops. And there's a great moment where, like, he goes to put his finger on the trigger and he really has to force himself to even put his finger on the trigger because it so goes against him. See, like, stuff like that is great. Or, like, Superman snaps Zod's neck in Man of Steel. That should have affected him in this movie. It should have been shown that that's made an effect on him. Never even mentioned. I don't think he even says Zod's name once in the entire movie.
That bothers me. That tells me that Superman's okay with killing anybody. Like that makes that whole scream he does after Zod dies completely irrelevant, 110%. That means that means that he does not care at all, which really ultimately negates the whole point of the Man of Steel ending. You know, and
Zack Snyder's just not a good storyteller. He doesn't understand
I've been
characters.
saying that for years. I'm like, Zack Snyder's a great filmmaker, not the best storyteller. Now, his
thing is 300. He can do big, cool battle scenes. That's it. Actually understanding characters or pacing out a story, he can't do it. He's incapable.
I think he should get a co-director or have him be like a producer on something. Like make him like Andy Serkis for a long time, like a Lord of the Rings. He was a second year director because he's essentially directed all the Gollum scenes in Lord of the Rings, and he directed a lot of stuff in Rise of the Planet of the Apes. He's a second year director. Make Zack Snyder a second year director. Make Zack Snyder say they get George Miller to do it. George Miller to do the next one and be like, and Snyder can come in and be like, oh, let's make this action scene look cool. Let's make this stunt look cool. Cause you give Zack Snyder stunts, that'd be awesome.
You're right. That's the best way. Like if George Miller was filming, but you have Zack Snyder, he's like, okay, we're going to film this scene. Then you could have Zack Snyder be like, what if we framed it in this way, or we filmed it in this way, or we did that. See, that's where he's useful. But don't let him have total control.
Which sucks me, and that makes me upset because like Zack Snyder, and I remember I was still praising Man of Steel like a couple of weeks ago. I was just like, man of Steel did this, and this really well. Man of Steel was really great when it did this. Man, this looks great. And in this movie, it sucks because even some of this stuff looks terrible in Dawn of Justice, but I digress. All right. I think that's good enough discussion. I have a headache. I think that's a great discussion.
I feel exhausted too.
Yeah,
it's been an emotional podcast for me.
Yeah. All right, Bandit. Well, that was this week's episode of the podcast, talking about Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice, and all its terrible glory.
But
if you guys liked
before we
before
we wrap up, there's something I have to mention. I mentioned this at the start of the show. We now have because Milan Jeftic is making our new thumbnail picture for the podcast. He said I offered to pay him $50 for it. He said, I don't want it. I just want you to mention that I have Lex Luthor Man of Steel, the motion comic video, up on my channel, which is the Russian Comic Book Geek. Just type in Russian Comic Book Geek on YouTube. You'll find him. It's the full motion comic. He's got voice actors and everyone for all the different parts. And that's such a great story. And it's like if you haven't seen Batman v Superman yet and you want to watch that to go into it, would be great. Or if you have seen Batman v Superman and didn't like it, watch Lex Luthor Man of Steel, because it really shows the relationship between Lex and Superman, which you don't get at all in Batman v Superman. But fantastic, check him out. And by next week, you guys should be able to see our new picture with which should include Trilby for the podcast.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he comes up with. Yeah, so thank you for watching the podcast, guys. We'll see you all next week when we talk Daredevil. But Bandit, where can people find you?
They can find me and send me hate comments on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated. And they can find you.
And they can find me and send me all the death threats and pictures of dog poop at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff at either Trey White or Podcast Media. Yeah, see you all next week when we talk Daredevil. Hopefully much more positive about it. Yeah, look, guys, all film is subjective. Please don't tear us apart. Oh, I completely forgot to do trailers, but we'll do it next week. Thank you for watching Movie Maniacs.
You know what? It sounds really bizarre that they would divide it that way. But
because there's not just one cinema theater chain. Like, where would that $20 get distributed to? Because in the UK you get Cineworld, Odeon, Curzon, View. Like, do they all get a couple of dollars here and there?
It probably depends.
I don't see this working.
The only cinema chain they mentioned, the AMC Cinemas has signed on with this, so maybe they're sort of like negotiating with each cinema chain itself. But here's the thing: is like, back when I made my video about this way back like 6 months ago or whatever, I didn't know it was Screening Room. That I was just talking theoretically about it, but I thought there's no way cinemas are going to allow stuff like this to happen, because if people can watch it at home, they're not going to go to cinemas, so they'll boycott any movie that's going to do this. So I think the reason that they're giving this cut to cinemas is so that they won't boycott it.
Yeah, there is that track record. For example, Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension, that had in certain territories a day and date release date on demand, and as a result, only like a third of of America cinemas actually took the movie on. It was more like a limited release in America, and it hurt the box office. So there is precedent for it. So giving them that cut makes sense.
Crouching Tiger, I still think too, same thing. Yeah, got boycotted throughout North America because it was on Netflix at the same time.
But I think this is the type of thing where it's hard enough to convince the average moviegoer to spend $10 on a unknown property, an original story, and things like that. And so that's why I think that you're not going to convince them to rent a $50 movie for the weekend, regardless of of how much you market it or make it look unique. This is something for big event movies that you want to watch in the home, or big animated films where you can't afford to take your 30 children or whatever, however many kids are having nowadays. I think that's what it's going to boil down to. I think that this is going to, if they offered, say, for example, $50 and you got to rent all of the Oscar movies, all the Oscar-nominated movies for the weekend, I think that would be a good idea.
Trey's calling. I'll patch him in. Trey's
here.
Hello, Trey, you there?
Yes.
Yay! Okay, we were just in the middle of talking about Screening Room.
Okay.
So please finish your thought, Trilby. Hello, you there?
I'm here.
Ah, there we go. All three of us.
Okay, because the call was... Hello, we were just talking about this Screening Room thing that you love so much.
I had a really cool intro. I'll save it for next week.
Okay, so yes, welcome Trey to the show.
Martha.
Trilby, did you want to finish your thought about the Screening Room?
Basically, Trey, I side with you, but for Bandit's reasons, in that I think that obviously you can't replace the cinema experience. I think that but it's also good to give audience members choice. But I think what this Screen Room box is going to do is it's going to segment the type of movies that get viewed. This is going to be for big blockbuster entertainment. This is going to be for big high-profile family movies. You're not going to rent a movie like High Rise. You're not going to rent a movie like Anomalisa on this box for $50, and that's going to create a disparity. I think that if they
small movies are going to die.
Yeah, they're not going to die. They're going to have to be given a different approach. They're not going. They're going to die if you charge $50 for Anomalisa the same weekend Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice gets charged $50. Like, if you all the Academy Award nominated movies, you put them in a $50 bundle and you could watch them for a weekend. That's probably something you'd have to do. You need to do discounts, you need to do bundles, and the big event movies, like you invite a load of friends over to see Batman v Superman, get some beers, have them in the comforts of your own room, stuff like that. I think that's where this is going to thrive. But I think giving audience members choice and giving them more options it just helps in general and just gives the movie theaters a bit more competition so they can maybe step up their game and provide a better service than they currently are.
Yeah,
I'm going to interrupt you right now, Bandit, before you start. I agree with Trilby here. Sorry to interrupt you, Bandit, but I'd like to do my 2 cents. Thank you. No, I'm not. Thank you for saying that, Trilby, because if there's one thing that you're able to do is that you're able to tell me that I'm wrong very politely. And, Bandit.
Well, I agree with your end point.
Yeah, because Bandit apparently only likes this because it means he doesn't have to leave his house to go watch a movie anymore. Because apparently he hates going to the movies. So it's nice to know that someone at least agrees with me that the cinema is an experience and not an annoyance.
Well,
even if go to the beach to stop people from drowning, and he is taking on this skin cancer burden for all of us, apparently.
Well, actually, in the video, he is wearing a wetsuit, so maybe that's why, because he doesn't want to get, the skin cancer thing again. So that's probably why he's wearing a full wetsuit.
Possibly. I'm going to see these pictures now. I'm curious.
Sure. So actually, Trilby, I thought there's one last bit of news we can talk about before Trey gets here. Last week, Trey and I talked about how one of the founders, the first CEO of Facebook, whose name I can't remember right now, has started...
Justin Timberlake.
Yes, Justin Timberlake.
From the Social Network.
Has started a new streaming service called Screening Room, which is basically like Netflix, but you can stream movies at home at the exact same time that they're out in cinema. So if it was out here now, you could watch Batman v Superman in your home right now. And we were talking about all the pros and cons of that. And actually there was actually a video of Hugh Jackman and Taron Egerton from The Eagle arguing about it in an interview.
Okay.
But I was wondering, I'm in favor of it, Trey's against it. How do you feel about it?
See, I kind of wish I was on the podcast last week because I've got quite a bit to say about it. I side with Trey, but for your reasons. I can't have a simple opinion on this. I think that it's great that the consumer is being offered more choice, that they have options to view movies in their home, because you pay $50 to rent it for the weekend. If you're a family and you have multiple kids and you've got to drive, taking 2 parents, 2 or 3 kids, getting snacks, or a babysitter or whatever, or just all that stuff, you're going to end up paying $100 if you live in a city. So it's a good deal and it helps to get people to see more movies. But the issue is that this isn't going to benefit the small movies. You're not going to rent a movie like Anomalisa, or you might not even rent a movie like The Hateful Eight on this service. This is going to benefit the big blockbusters, the big animated films, Batman v Superman, stuff like that. And I'm surprised that James Cameron opposes this system and Steven Spielberg is for it, because you'd think that the type of films they make, it'll be the other way around, because you're not going to rent Bridge of Spies or Warhorse or the BFG on this service. You're going to rent an Avatar. You're going to rent big stuff. So I'm confused.
I think I thought it would be the other way around, that the big blockbusters, people would want to see it in the cinema so they get that group experience, but the smaller ones, they'd be like, oh, I'll just watch it at home. You think it'd be the other way around?
Yeah, I think it's an untested thing, so it's hard to tell, and I don't have any metrics or anything. I'm just going by gut instincts, but I just think that this is going to be a case of the bigger movies getting even bigger, and the smaller movies sort of being relegated to the side. Like High Rise, you're not going to rent High Rise for $50 over the weekend. You're not going to rent. You may get cult films like Tarantino films on the occasional one, but this is just a case of the bigger movies getting bigger and the mid-budgeted movies will be left to the wayside. At least I think so.
Yeah, but well, I actually... It'll be interesting to find out, because apparently when it starts, it's early... It won't be with all movies, and they actually are going to target it more for the smaller ones rather than the big blockbusters, at least initially. But I think inevitably, of course, if it takes off, it's going to expand to the bigger ones as well. But their thinking was that one way or another, this will sort of target people that otherwise wouldn't be going to see the movie anyway. So they figure, even if it's less of a cut than if people all went to the cinemas, it's still people that would not have gone to the cinemas anyway. And also I've found out, the reason that they're charging $50 for the movie is because, number one, they know that if you get you get the movie in your house, the whole family's going to watch it. So it's like 5 people right there. So that's equivalent like $50 already. But also it's because the split, even the cinemas themselves that Trey was so worried about that they're going to die out, they actually do get a cut. So the way it's going to work out is if you pay $50 to see Batman v Superman, $20 of that goes to Zack Snyder.
Directly to Zack Snyder.
Directly to him.
God.
$20 goes to the cinema that you didn't even go to, and then the last $10 goes to screening room. So cinemas won't actually be losing money. They're actually, because like in that $50, you get to see it at home, and you get 48 hours to watch it at home, but you also get a free ticket. So if you decide to go to the movies as well, you don't have to pay again to see it. So even if you're not actually going to the cinema is still getting money. But
I wanted to continue this sort of tone that we established in Man of Steel, but I really wanted to kind of sort of recapture some of the cinematic quality that I've always loved over my... We weren't really sure whether it was going to be a straight sequel or whether we wanted to kind of branch out and go in another direction, or how we were going to... And we just felt like it was an original and interesting concept to pit him against another hero, but a darker hero.
What the fuck, say?
And it just seemed like once you say Batman out loud, it's hard to beat it. It just is.
We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Movie Mania podcast. I am Bandit from Bandit Incorporated, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. Would you like a glass of Granny's peach tea? Yes, it is Trilby / Mr. TARDIS. Hello, Trilby.
Hello, Bandit. How are you doing?
I am good. I've been resurrected like General Zod to come back to attack this movie.
and
hello,
the more
Batman,
it tries to fight you, the stronger you get.
You will.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be a very fun and interesting one, isn't it? You can just tell.
It will be. For everyone who's
Martha!
cheering...
Martha!
What a coincidence. That's my mom's name too. I guess you're a good guy now. For everyone who's cheering that Trey isn't here, he's a little bit late, but he'll be calling in, so he'll be here by the time we get to talk about the movie. But yes, how's your week been, Trilby?
The last time I was told that somebody would be joining in the podcast later, he never woke up again.
Oh.
And I'm just going to remind you of your failures.
Yeah, sorry about that. Probably staying up to like 3 a.m. when I have to get up at 6 a.m. to record with you guys is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, but it's much later for you now. You've actually had a lie-in. You've had some time in bed now to have some sleep, because I've just come back from a movie screening, because I've been doing the Philmonic Cabaret in Manchester for the weekend. Made a short film. It just got screened like an hour ago. Went down incredibly well. I'll probably put it up on YouTube like within the next couple of weeks, so you can all enjoy that. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm incredibly tired, and because of that I've only really had time to watch one movie. But what a movie I've watched this week. So what have you been doing, Bandit?
Nothing really special apart from, grieving the DCU, but before we move on, can you give us like a brief summary about what the short film's about? Obviously don't tell us the whole thing, but...
Okay, well, my dad used to be part of the police service, and he's got a lot of stories, funny stories from his time serving. And I got an interview of one of the stories from 1985 on Christmas Day, and it's the story about him and his partner had to arrange everything for this man who was a serial panty thief. And it's basically, he narrates this story and we reenact it.
Wow.
And I'm playing the younger version of my dad, and the screening went really well. People were, because it was the first time people had seen it, obviously, but you're surprised what people laugh at, what they don't laugh at, what they respond to. Because it's a police story, myself and the guy who plays my partner did like our own version of the Bad Boys theme, but people were just applauding at the end of the film over the credits, so they never actually heard it, which is a decent compliment.
Wow.
But yeah, and also
I can't wait to see it now. That sounds really great.
It turned out really well, I think. We had a very patient director of photography, so that was really good. But this past week as well, moved into the new flat. We arrived there on Monday, about to get the keys, and this flat that we're told is furnished for the past 2 months. We get in there and it's barren, it's empty. So this has been a fun week. And then on Wednesday morning, internet's meant to arrive. It says 4 days for setup and delivery and everything. And then the day arrives. Oh, did we say 4? We meant 18. So I'm not actually going to be connected in the flat until the 6th. I've come back to my previous flat share to record this podcast because I'm that dedicated to the cause.
Wow, thanks, mate. Look, I can really relate to your whole issue with trying to get internet because I'm trying to move house, but I'm trying to get the internet connected in the new house before I move. And, man, it is so difficult.
The one thing I recommend if you're doing a move, ask again and again and again, is it furnished or is it unfurnished? This week, man.
Well, I'll tell you what, before we jump into news, I've just for all our listeners out there, and especially for you, Trilby, we're having a new picture for the podcast made up that you'll see, which is going to include
I was actually going to ask.
Trilby. Milan has come back and he has graciously agreed to design us a new thumbnail. So I sent him a picture of what you look like, so it'll be interesting to see what your cartoon counterpart looks like.
I'm just expecting like Jabba the Hutt wearing like a fedora or something, and that'll just be me going, God, he got the hat wrong. It's a trilby.
Yeah, I just sent him the picture I could find of just you with the hat holding up a box set of Doctor Who.
Oh God, I look so grumpy in that one. Gosh.
Well, I said to Milan, I was like, I could send you like $50 or whatever for your time, and he's like, no, just mention that I have this Lex Luthor Man of Steel motion comic up on my channel, which he does. His channel is the Russian Comic Book Geek, and Lex Luthor Man of Steel, that's a comic book story arc where basically Lex Luthor finds a way to give himself all of Superman's powers for a certain amount of time, and it's a brilliant story. It's brilliant. It completely changes the way Lex Luthor... Well, I won't spoil it, but you can check it out on Milan's channel, the Russian Comic Book Geek. It's like the full story, so I think it's about 40 minutes. So it's basically a little movie, and it's fantastic. Definitely go check it out. I'll plug it again at the end of the podcast. But until then...
Subscribed. Right now, I just did it live on the podcast. You heard it here first, folks.
So let's jump into the news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Okay, so movie news. Our first news story is about Kingsman 2. Did you like Kingsman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved Kingsman. It made my top 10 of the year.
It was great, wasn't it? It was so good.
Mm.
Yeah, I loved it too. Shame Colin Firth had to die. Spoiler alert.
That's not how spoiler alerts work, Bandit. No, but I was expecting good things.
Could deal with it.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I was expecting good things from Kingsman. I wasn't expecting to have my mind blown in that church scene because Colin Firth, Taron Egerton to Borton Star. You can't rate it highly enough.
Absolutely, yeah, because it released in January, and we're normally like, oh, January, you know what that means. But it was great. It was really good.
Yes.
And here's what Matthew Vaughn has announced, the title and a little bit of the plot. And the title is going to be Kingsman 2... Where is it? The Golden Circle.
I'm going to say Journey to the Drum Roll. You're going to keep us in suspense.
Yeah, that was intentional. Kingsman 2, The Golden Circle, which sounds a little bit like King Arthur sort of thing, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it makes sense because they've got Galahad, Lancelot. They do name the Kingsman agents after British famous knights, so it's in keeping with the theme.
Well, he says here, Kingsman: The Golden Ark. The Golden Ark is the agency that will be the Golden Ark. Oh God!
Where's Ark come from?
The Golden Ark. He says the Kingsman Secret Service will be teaming up with their American counterparts, led by Halle Berry. This team up isn't exactly voluntary, as the as the Empire article also showed, concept art for Kingsman HQ being completely decimated. And Matthew Vaughn said about making this movie, he said, "I didn't know if I wanted to direct this or not. I was worried about the villain. Spy films are only as good as their villains," which is true. Then one morning I woke up with the whole storyline in place and a new villain plot. So good for you, Matthew Vaughn. I don't know why you hesitated about making the follow-up to this movie, since you could basically build your own little X-Men universe here, but hey, he's back, and I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm glad that Vaughn is coming back, because he's a guy who clearly wants to do hundreds of other ideas. He's got obviously a lot in the pipeline and a lot of things he wants to do, and the fact that this story is good enough for him to want to come back and do the sequel. He doesn't have to do Kingsman 2. They can just give it to somebody else. But the fact that he wants to come back, I think, is a good seal of quality, really.
Next story is Don Cheadle, who plays War Machine in the last few Iron Man movies, and he's going to play War Machine in Civil War. He's addressed kind of War Machine's apparent fate in Civil War, because you remember in the trailer he gets shot in the chest by some laser beam and then he falls to the ground, and we see Captain America taking off his mask and being like, "No, War Machine, my sidekick is dead." Well, Don Cheadle said this. He said, I'm on Twitter and I've gotten a lot of people saying, Rhodey better not be dead, son. Because if he's dead, I'm going to be so mad. He says, or I'm done with this thing if Rhodey's dead. And he says, but that's cool. I like that people get so upset about it. I like that in a Marvel movie, people are able to evoke such emotion. It does look bad for Rhodey, though. I'm
just imagining that everyone's talking about Bucky and Cap and Iron Man and all these things, and then there's Don Cheadle like, why does nobody care about me? I know, I'm just going to set up dozens of Twitter accounts and send them to myself saying, oh, it's so sad that this guy's died.
That's what I thought. I'm like, does anybody really like War Machine that much?
No, I like him a lot. I think that Don Cheadle, because he had an uphill battle after Iron Man when he replaced that other guy. What's his name? The other guy, I forget.
Apparently now he's famous already in America, but I can't remember his name either.
No, I was thinking of Empire. Empire was what I was thinking of, because
Well, I do like the way in Iron Man 2 how they address that, where War Machine walks into the courtroom and it's the other guy, and Iron Man stands up, shakes his hand. He's like, "Didn't expect to see you here," and he goes, "It's me. I'm here. Accept it. Move on."
Yeah, that's a really nice meta
line. It's like saying to all the fans, "Yes, I'm a new actor. Who cares? Let's just do this."
Yeah.
But it sounds like from what he says here, where he says it does look bad for Rhodey, that basically says to me that he's not really dead. He's not really going to die.
I think
looks that way in the trailer.
It might just end up being another Iron Man 3 situation where he's just got a friend who's in a coma for most of the movie.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. Okay, last story. There's a lot of other stories about Batman v Superman, but we're going to shelve them because we're going to talk about it in a minute. Hugh Jackman, I don't know if you know or not, but is a real-life superhero because he saved a kid from drowning on an Australian beach. Good old Hugh Jackman. Just when you think he couldn't get any nicer.
Yeah, he is just one of those guys who has everything. He's the type of guy who women want to be with and guys also want to be with. He's got everything. It's like when he was at the Oscars, it was the year that Les Miserables was nominated for everything, and Jennifer Lawrence won the Oscar. She gets up to the stage, she trips over, and like a shot, Hugh Jackman's there ready to pick her up. And he's just a true gentleman and a real-life hero, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you can actually find the video of him saving this kid online, because since he's Hugh Jackman, there's always going to be cameras following around. But the story goes like this. Hugh Jackman is hanging out on a beach in Australia when a fierce rip current began pulling people out to sea. Springing into action, Wolverine, that's what the article says, it doesn't call him Hugh Jackman, Wolverine jumped into the water and began getting people out while the lifeguards scrambled to get their own rescue efforts going. It may not be quite the same as going up against Magneto or William Stryker. Well, that's a callback. William Stryker, he's an old one. Haven't seen him as a villain in a long time. But chances are the triple threat Australian hunk saved a handful of lives by stepping up when duty called. They're trying to downplay it, Rips are scary, man. I've been caught in a rip myself. For someone to run in and try to save people from rips is really, really dangerous. So that's a big deal that Hugh Jackman did that.
Yeah, but like when you read it out loud, it just sounds like the worst X-Men comic ever written. But if Hugh Jackman just dove into the water, but in
goes
real life,
up against his worst villain ever, the ocean.
Water.
He's just clawing the water, like ah!
It's having no effect.
It keeps regenerating.
This is what it feels like. No, like guy's clearly a class act. He has it all, and he has been in the news recently because he's been treated for skin cancer in February and things like that. And he's also using his own platform for fame to try and inform people about it. Guys, just
I didn't know that. Skin cancer, really.
Yeah, he's been treated 5 times for it, but he's
maybe if he goes to the beach less often, he won't get skin cancer. Sure, some people might drown, but hey, he's a national treasure. We got to protect him.
No, Hugh Jackman has to go